Well, another day, another probable schizo conspiracy theory from our favorite professor, our favorite professor guy, Professor Jiang, talking about secret societies. Now, the only instance that I recall of him, of course, talking about secret societies was when he was on Breaking Points. It was like a 9 million view video or some shit on Breaking Points where, for whatever fucking reason, he was just like, oh yeah, the Illuminati controls the U.S. government, and that this is like his quote unquote third reasoning for as to why the United States did the war in Iran. The first was hubris, maybe, which is the only one that makes the most sense. I don't 100% remember the second because my memory is terrible. And then he decided to go on like a conspiratorial ramble about secret societies. And it turns out he really likes talking about secret societies. Oh, and he said like what? It was the Jesuits who controlled the military-industrial complex. The
Yes.
Sabbatine Frankists, or they're Frankists, whatever,
Hmm.
who control Israel. And the what was the first one?
Oh,
Jesuits,
the
the
third one,
Frankists, and uh,
uh,
some other
Freemasons.
Freemasons controlled.
Yes.
I think it was the government itself, like the
Hmm.
actual government of the United States, some shit like that. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Like, do we really need to get into like the I don't know the oafishness of all this? No, I don't really think so. But it turns out he really likes talking about secret societies, and he's a bit of a conspiratorial fucking crank. Now, I've made the analogy that he's basically the same as like Jordan Peterson, but I think he's worse than like Jordan Peterson because at the very least, like Jordan Peterson would peddle a bunch of like ridiculous nonsense under the sort of guise of it being impertinence to his like psychological degree or whatever, his PhD, like his actual practice in psychology. This guy has a BA in literature, and he just like repeats a fucking bunch of conspiracy theories. He's unironically a Holocaust denier. He peddles like a bunch of really terrible, just bad. I don't even know if it's accurate to call it pop history. Just like inaccurate information about history. Like he was talking about like World War II during that Breaking Points interview, and he was just saying like a bunch of like ridiculous nonsense. And also his like talks about like Marxism are also just like, oh, this is a completely just terrible interpretation of what Marxism is and the history behind like labor within the United States of America. Like it's like what the hell are you talking about? Like bro here unironically believes that consumerism is Madara casting the infinite Tsukiyomi and turning everybody into a bunch of like consumerist debt slaves. Like what the fuck are you talking about? Like okay, bro, like yeah, and I have the ability to I don't know transcend dimensions with my Mangekyo Sharingan. Like okay, bro, like whatever, nice meme. So this is the individual that we're sort of like dealing with here. Now I have Boy Meets Mini with us. Say hi, Boy
Hello,
Meets
hello.
Mini.
Hi, everybody. I'm Boy Meets Mini. Daho brought me in because this one's gonna involve looks like some religious stuff, some Christianity. I'm a lefty Christian. I would say I'm more on the liberation and kind of sort of anarchist, but I have disagreements with them. Christian, but yeah, definitely more liberation leaning. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've been religious for years and studied the Bible and have started studying other faiths. Started reading the Quran recently. That's been cool to read in the mornings. Mashallah, mashallah. And so
Dude, it's
yeah.
Ramadan. During
Uh,
Ramadan, think about it.
I know, right? Eventually, I'll get to 5 times a day praying as a Christian. That should help.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, yeah.
But yeah, the purely yeah the listen. I surreptitiously call Boy Meets Mini my Christian consultant, my religion consultant. Okay, because
Yeah.
I mean he's been practicing the faith for like the what basically the entirety of your life, right? So you
Yeah,
know
and
your
I
shit.
well, just to be clear, when I say I know my stuff, it's more experiential. I've never been to seminary, but many people in my family are in ministry. They teach in Christian schools back home in India. One of my grandfathers was a bishop in the Methodist Church. So I don't want to say street cred, but like basically I'm very embedded within it. So
Hmm.
I have at least enough familiarity with the Bible, some of the, theology and theological foundations and stuff. So hopefully that helps here because, yeah, I don't know what we're gonna see on quote
Well,
unquote Professor Jiang's board today.
yeah, I've seen there's basically at some point in this video he's gonna
Yeah.
talk about like the Nephilim and Demiurges and a bunch of other fucking bullshit. Like I have no fucking idea. He's gonna say some fuck shit. I'm just gonna be like really confused, which is purely the reasoning for as to why I brought Boy Meets Mini here because
Don't worry, you got it.
I know some stuff. I have some knowledge in terms of I mean, because you kind of have to dealing with American politics, considering Christian evangelicals are everywhere. So you need to have some form of knowledge specifically with Christianity and with the Bible and whatnot. But I mean, if I wanted to like get into like a general sort of like scripture and like recite like passages from the Bible, I'm not going to be able to do that because I haven't read the Bible. I mean, I've read like a chunk of the Bible in like grade 8 for a class we called religious knowledge. We went to an Anglican school, a private school.
I was gonna
Don't worry
say,
about it.
I'm like, did you get a Lutheran school?
No, it's an Anglican private school. They have like a fucking chapel and everything, and like the minister there, he's got like some like crazy like high Canadian, like I think it's like the Order of Canada or something. I don't remember exactly. Wow. He's been around the world or something. It's whatever. He's a big guy. He's a known guy. The minister that we have there. But anyway, I digress. Purely the reason why I brought Boy Meets Mini here with us is because I know this guy's probably going to say a bunch of fuck shit, a bunch of like conspiratorial nonsense probably in terms of religion. And I'm not going to be 100% knowledgeable on like the Nephilim and the Demiurges and like all the weird demon shit that he's basically going to say. So Boy Meets Mini is here to catch that out and, well, say why it's actually like provide the knowledge for us to more than likely why it is extremely fucking stupid. Thank you, Sacrificial MILF.
It's not like that, but okay, you can assume that, I guess.
Yeah, you need to relax, Sacrificial MILF. Stop trying to ship people, okay? Kind of weird. Weird. Halt. Okay.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's get into the video and see what our boy Professor Jiang has to talk about.
All right. Into the breach.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is explain to you what most Christians believe about their religion, okay? This is called the orthodox or the canonical perspective. Okay, so this is what you're taught officially by the church. Christianity has many different factions, but they all believe in a certain interpretation of the Bible, okay?
Okay, first off, no, there are actually different interpretations. I don't know if this guy understands, like, maybe, like, there like general high-level things that all the denominations and different churches agree on. You know, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Even there's like theological disagreements about the resurrection, and obviously, you know, Orthodox people, they celebrate on a different day. You know, the Christmas Day, and I think Orthodox Easter is different as well. So there's like time discrepancies.
There's a lot of like time different stuff, and it's because I don't know if Professor Jiang. I don't know if he's like necessarily going to get into all of this. I mean, historically speaking, there was a big schism between the Eastern and the Western Roman empires, which is what created the Orthodox versus the, I don't know if it's canonical. Is canonical the same as Catholic Church?
You could say that because I mean, at that point, that's where the Catholic Church that's where the Catholic Church like really established itself, or that was like what the Holy Roman Empire period, and so
that's later. We're talking about earlier than that.
That's later. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're talking.
It's if I recall correctly, the reason why the Eastern and the Roman Empire, and the Western Roman empires split was mostly because of like theological differences. Or part of it was like theological differences and also like logistical differences as well. It's a little bit of both, and that's more or less where the split, generally speaking, happened. Was based off of that specifically. If we're talking about Orthodox versus Catholic Christians,
right?
Purely based off of Eastern versus Western Rome, generally speaking.
Yeah. So there's no like again, he's really oversimplifying here, and I understand at a high level maybe to explain like these are the basics of Christianity, but there's a lot of disagreements. Even the basics can be disagreed upon in some ways. Like, for example, there's a lot of disagreements about the flood story with Noah in the Old Testament. There's obviously now you have to start considering rabbinical Jewish interpretation. So it gets
That's
crazy.
going to be different.
Yes. So, anyways, my point is we don't all believe in a certain interpretation. It's plural.
He may be just simple. To be fair, he may be just simplifying it a little bit just to get through a lot of the meat and potatoes. Like, because
Fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
it's for a little
Anyways.
fairness. Yeah, let's keep going.
Well, what else you got, man?
Then
All
what
right.
I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the apocryphal. Apocryphal just means hidden, okay? Or secret, or esoteric. Just a secret knowledge that is kept within these secret societies. All right, so the Orthodox Canonical comes from a reading of the Bible. And the Bible, at its core, is a story of the covenant between God and humans, okay? Covenant.
So far, pretty. I mean, at a high level, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, so far there's nothing crazy going on here. What, Covenant,
Yeah,
Halo? What the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa, allegory. We love allegory, don't we?
Yep.
Covenant means contract or understanding. So throughout the Bible, there are a series of covenants, okay? The first covenant is between Adam and God. So you may have heard of the
Right, the first. Well, what we say is the first person. The first person who ever, first human being
Existed.
ever, whoever purportedly existed. And yeah, I mean, there was a covenant between Adam and I guess he's going to do what Adam and Abraham, probably Jacob. Like I think that's the order he's going to list them in. But yeah, I mean, this is a correct understanding of covenant. Although to say simply that it's a contract is a little incomplete. At a high level, it's fine. What it more is like sort of because at the time you have to remember a little historical context. At the time, you have to remember that when Abraham came over from Persia, because you have to remember he originally came from Sumeria, right? What is today Persia? And he came, in the account it says that he came over to this promised land, which is today Canaan or the Levant, or Palestine. And when he came to Palestine, there were already people there. In fact, it's documented in the book of Genesis.
That would have been the Canaanites or the Philistines.
Canaanites, Philistines, Nabateans, many different people groups. Nabateans
Phoenicians.
more toward like. Yeah, Nabateans are more toward like Jordan and like where Petra is today.
Yes.
But that said, there were already people there. So the thing, which kind of dismantles the whole notion of Zionism in and of itself. But the point I'm making there is the covenant that Abraham made with God, it wasn't so much of a contract. It was more like a lifelong dedication that was based on faith in a God that was not an idol. Because you have to remember at the time, the existing peoples worshipped, they had their own tribal,
it's all pagan religion. Stuff.
Yeah, they're pagan and and sort of indigenous faith. So you had gods like Asherah, gods like Adonai, and basically what ended up happening is there was a syncretization that happened over time as Judaism developed. So Judaism is essentially kind of doing away with like idols, like physical idols, and moving toward a sort of an omnipresent God that isn't in any physical form, that was sort of monotheistic ideal of Judaism, but that emerged out of syncretization of the existing faiths of the region of Palestine. So
like
that's where,
basically the idea, like if, just to I make a little bit of a meme out of it. It's just like, why worship all these guys when we can just have this like one dude? It just makes everything easier. Like, fuck that, dude. Be lazy.
Yeah, we don't go to war with each other, but they still do.
Listen, it's all contradictory. It's silly sometimes. Religious people being contradictory about stuff. Who would have thought? Nah, don't worry about it.
Yes, and yeah, Alex, you're correct. Alex, I mean, Alex, both of our Alex is my mod as well, but he speaks on Catholicism, and the thing is that apocryphal just means it doesn't have as solid of source material, because the Bible, you remember, comes from source material. It comes from prophetic writings and scrolls and stuff that were assembled over time by councils. And
also like the first instance the Bible was written, wasn't it like 40 years after Jesus allegedly died? allegedly.
I mean,
Technically
the
speaking.
Torah was always. I mean, the Torah and the Tanakh; those have been around before Jesus, but the Jewish texts. But yeah, the New Testament. I mean, the four Gospels were not. I don't think they were assembled until until the Council of Nicaea, which I believe was about 300 years
300
after.
something like that. Yeah.
In Turkey. Yeah, in Turkey. So, uh, so, uh, yeah, it's a really interesting topic, but like the misinfo and the assumptions and conspiracies around it are a problem. That's my issue. And yeah, apocryphal means something with shaky sources. So that's why you'll see some churches have only 66 books in the Bible. Protestant is 66 books, and then you'll see Catholic Bibles. They have additional books in there that are excluded from Protestant Bibles for theological reasons. You can blame Martin Luther and the Reformation in Germany for that, and then you have churches like in Ethiopia, the Tewahedo Church, right, where they're one of the oldest existing churches on the planet, like very, very close to the time of Christ. And so they have 81 books, and that includes all the apocryphal books. So if you open an Ethiopian Bible, you'll see all the apocryphal books like Enoch, the Book of Judas. Like there's a ton of them. And those are the more sort of.
So is that potential? So is that where he could be potentially utilizing the term apocryphal then?
Yes.
In reference to that. Okay, so
yes, so these additional books that got excluded over time.
Listen, okay, quick meme. Racism? Question mark? Like,
it could be. I mean, because again, early churches were where, in North Africa and West Asia, and it didn't really get to Europe until like. I mean, obviously there were the Apostle Paul and his journeys, Peter with the establishment of the Catholic Church, and his execution in Rome, and on that site is where St. Peter's Basilica is built, which I want to go one day. I really want to go to Vatican and Rome and just check that out one day. It's if I can't go to the quote unquote Holy Land, I can't go to Palestine. It's unsafe. I'll die over there. So I can at least go to Italy.
That's true. You could go to Italy
or Turkey. I could do both. Why not? But it didn't fit their storyline. Yeah, so basically it did not fit what the council wanted as far as like a canonical text. And there was also a lot of like conflicting theology about like the sort of about all of the things that like God expects from people. Like, there's all the laws of God and laws of Moses and all that. And there were a lot of contradictions with that in the apocryphal texts. So that's why they're called apocryphal or shaky texts for that reason. And they're definitely a lot more, those texts are a lot more, I guess to end this point, a lot more mystical. What I mean by that is they don't speak in terms of like legalities or what's right and wrong, sin and, what's sinful and what's not sinful. It's more about sort of the sort of the spiritual nature of Jesus, and and also some of the old like you could almost see like in Factorio, in the game Factorio, you have byproducts of stuff, right? When you produce stuff, you have byproducts.
Fuck-ass byproducts.
So, I know, right? Yeah, but the Apocrypha contains some of those byproducts of syncretizing of religion, right? So when you have the old pagan gods and goddesses and idols, you could see where you can kind of, the apocryphal texts give you a lens into like that process of syncretization as well. So that's basically how I look at apocryphal texts. I haven't read too much into them. I'd like to read into them more. Do I believe them? Of course not. Not at the current moment. And I am mentally stable. Don't worry. But I don't know about this guy though.
No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually.
I'll hold that. But anyways, yeah, that's essentially the difference between canonical and apocryphal. It's again what the councils decided. What was there? The Council of Nicaea, and then later there was the Council of Trent in the Middle Ages. There you go.
The story of the Garden of Eden, right? God creates the universe, then creates the Garden of Eden, where He puts Adam and Eve. And God says to Adam and Eve, "This is paradise. You don't have to work. Just enjoy life. The food is free. The food is plentiful. Every day you'll be happy and free of want."
So far, so good.
But there's only one thing that you must not do, and only one thing. Okay, whatever you do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Just don't do that, and you'll be okay. So of course, what do Adam and Eve do? They eat the stupid fruit. Okay, so then what God does is He banishes Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden, and now they're forced to work. to grow food to feed themselves, okay? And this leads to society, a development of society. God looks down from the heavens and sees that humans now are going to war. They are fighting their private property. And God says, I don't want this crap. This
wait.
He's going Maoist.
Private. They developed the concepts of private property already. I mean,
so
like in the Marxist sense, like I guess technically, I mean, this is primitive accumulation, basically, right? Like someone decided to make a stake on a claim of land, grow a bunch of crops on there, and said, like, I have excess crops, how about you just like work on the land? I mean, that's essentially what private property is. It, like, kind of, sort of, like, not really. There wasn't like wage labor involved like quite yet, because currencies haven't been invented yet. It was just like people just working a land. Yeah, it was still barter systems at that time, right? Like, this is in the timeline of like Marxist analysis, this would be the times during slavery, slave economy specifically. And it was just, well, it was like more communal, sort of, I guess, besides the slavery bits. And generally speaking, it was just a bunch of people working on a piece of land. There was not like really any distinction between like capital and the proletariat, with a proletariat and a bourgeois. Like, so it's like technically private property, but not exactly. It's a little different. Like,
it's not the same. Sorry, it's not the same sense. It's more like you stake it out, and you that property is protected by use of force, by violence, right? It's not protected by deed. It's not protected by.
There's no laws about this.
there was nothing like that back then.
Not yet.
And not yet. I mean, and of course, then later it developed into feudal systems where you had, a royal, like a monarch who owned the hold, right, and owned everybody in there as their subjects. So that's where I guess that evolved. But yeah, this idea that like capitalism came from the original sin of eating the fruit. No, it didn't. There is, I think he is really jumping the gun there. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, like, it's just like, yeah, private property was developed. It's like technically correct, but like not exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you say that. Eve was still getting only 75 cents on Adam's dollar.
That's
guess
true.
So, there was no currency back then. There's one account I really like, and she's more of an atheist. So she's not a Christian, but she used to be like a crazy not crazy right, but like she used to be in that right-wing evangelical sort of like New Apostolic Reformation type church. Like, she was a fundie growing up, and she used to lead music and all that stuff. So she tells her story, and she's obviously an atheist now and happily married. But there's an account on TikTok. She's really popular, and you might have seen her TikToks. Her name is Eve Was Framed. So that's her username. Eve Was Framed. So you could say, yeah, Eve was framed. And it's
is that the girl who was like calling all the churches or something?
No, that's not her. But I mean, she covered that, but she wasn't the one who did that. Her focus is calling out people like mega churches like Hillsong, Bethel, like some of these really corrupt
Copeland, I assume.
Yeah,
like all the weirdos that surround Trump, basically, those guys.
Yeah, she used to be one of the top people at Bethel, by the way. And Bethel's, if you don't know, Bethel is a huge mega church here on the West Coast, and they're essentially a cult. Like, it's really, really scary. And everybody who's come out of there, they have insane stories. Like, I even for me as a Christian, I'm like, what the? I've never, like, this never happened in Methodist spaces, man. We were kind of normal, I guess. Anyways.
They do a little trolling.
Yeah, a lot of trolling. Anyways, yeah, this jump to capitalism straight from the apple. No, it's
not exactly how that works.
Anyways.
So he's like, you know what, I'm going to destroy everyone and start over. But then he sees a human that he likes named Noah. And this leads to
the flood narrative.
God saying to Noah, build a ship, build an ark, and save yourself, because I will flood the universe. I will destroy the world. So God destroys the world, and Noah lives. And then God says to Noah, you know what? That's kind of silly. I shouldn't destroy the universe. I promise never ever destroy the world again. Okay, that is his covenant with Noah. But God.
Now, so what he's talking about here with the flood narrative, real quick. And this is where Christians, this is actually the origin of why Christians don't like the Pride movement, because the rainbow in the story of Noah, at the end of the flood, there was a rainbow when the flood cleared, right? And life could start over again. There was a rainbow that appeared after the storm. And so that
Oh,
rainbow
that's why
represented
they hate the rainbow flag. That's so silly.
being, well, no, they don't like that God's promise is being appropriated for gay stuff. That's essentially it. Because they think
okay.
the rainbow is God's promise to never destroy the earth again.
That's really fucking stupid by
Yeah,
the
and
evangelicals.
it's like who owns? I've made this point before too. Who owns rainbows?
Yeah, I guess
taking a claim to
yeah,
them?
I guess Christians own rainbows now or something. That's really fucking goofy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's something in Pokemon, unironically, called the rainbow condition. Well, the rainbow weather. It's used in ROM hacks, but it is also in the main series games. It's very annoying to basically put. It's not worth it. The effect you get is pretty good. Like it's move secondary effects have a double the chance of activating. It's basically Serene Grace as a weather effect, so it's very very good.
That's
But to get it active, it is a complete pain in the ass, and it's just not worth it. Like, is Pokemon like appropriating God's promise by creating the fucking rainbow condition, weather condition in Pokemon? Christians, what's going on here? This is silly.
Well, I mean, there's been satanic panic around Pokemon, so maybe I don't know.
Nah,
they probably don't know that much.
No, they don't. No, this is like some. This is stuff that's developed in Gen 6, so they don't know about this for sure.
Yeah,
like
you gotta
is
know
Lucky Lucky Charms, for example, also like an appropriation of God's promise, Christians or something?
Yeah,
That's very silly.
They never got mad about that. I guess because it's a leprechaun and that's Irish and that's okay. I don't know.
Silly.
I mean, but here's the funny thing: leprechauns are pre-Christian. It's like a pagan thing in Irish culture. But
No, that's true. That could be a fucking demon. We don't know Christians, but you know.
I mean, so are Christmas trees. Anyways, moving on. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm just explaining the core reason why Christians a lot of time they hate on pride. It's funny because I find a lot of, and we say like, we often, I don't like to make the assumption, but we often make the assumption that like a lot of Christians are closeted, gays or lesbians, right? Or or just closeted in some way or another when they're constantly complaining about, say, trans people or complaining about, homosexuality. The thing is that I feel like it's more about this that they're complaining about and less about the actual act itself or the two, or the relationship between two guys or two women or two trans people or two non-binary people. Like,
yeah,
I
but
think they're less concerned about that and more concerned about like this covenant stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, but let's be honest here, Boy Meets Mini. If we're talking about evangelicals here,
True.
they don't know about that shit. Guarantee it. I guarantee it. And if they do, it's like complete LARP cope bullshit.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just like the sort of shock factor of seeing two dudes married is probably what triggers them all day long.
Probably, yeah.
And and behind the curtain, you know what they're doing. But anyways, yeah, that's what the covenant with that's like an interesting thing about the covenant with Noah. But so far, he's theologically correct. So he's getting the Orthodox stuff pretty well. Let's see where he slips up.
Sees that humans are still wicked and evil. He says,
There's
"You know
Abraham.
what? I need to find a man who is good, and I need him to grow a nation that can be the light of the world, that will be the best example of what it means to be a good person." So he finds a man named Abraham, and Abraham, of course, is the father of a nation called Israel.
So this is where the Zionism creeps in. So a lot of anti-Zionist Jews will tell you that it's not about nation; it's about cultivating a people, right? A people group.
Right.
The definition of nation state did not come until much later in
that would have been about like this is like some, if anything, this is probably something that Theodore Herschel more than likely implemented. Now, have I read his book or what? No, but
I need to.
I'm guessing.
I think I need to just to know, like, or at least read. I don't know, Cliff's Notes on it or something. But yeah, I would imagine Herzl probably appropriated So one thing about Israel, the name Israel, where it comes from. It comes from when the 12 tribes emerged, right? And they are descendants of Abraham. And Jacob was the leader of the top tribe, the Levites. Jacob was given the name Israel by God. Israel, that's the name of like the leader. And so the leader of that group of people, those 12 tribes, his name was Israel. So actually the name comes from a person. And this is also documented. I mean, this is, every Muslim knows this as well. This is the same narrative. This is the same founding narrative to Islam, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly the same.
Well, yeah, makes sense. It all sprouted. Yeah, yeah. It all sprouted from Abraham. I mean, this is the guy. It's him.
Yep. So, but yeah, the nation. No, it's a people group. It's sort of you could say clans, right? Clans, or, associated clans. Where
that's what it would have been back then, like a bunch of clans,
and they
basically.
were,
and eventually they make a confederacy. Essentially.
Right, and the distinction was that they did not worship the idols. That was the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
And so this is the third covenant. God says to Abraham, you and your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren are now loyal to me. I see you as the chosen people, and I give you the promised land. Okay, that's what Israel is, a promised land. Over time, what happens is that Abraham and his people, they go off to Egypt. And in Egypt, they become slaves to the Pharaoh of Egypt. And then God is like, you know what, I should check up on the Israelites and see how they're doing. He looks down and he says, oops, they're now slaves to the Pharaoh. So I need now to fix this, okay? So we appoint a man named Moses.
If we're doing a little bit of a historical analysis, this would have been about around the time of probably like Ramses the Great.
Yes,
him.
Ramses the Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this would have
Ramses,
been.
In fact.
This would have been about like right around, not like Bronze Age collapse kind of a deal, but Egyptian Empire, like because they did conquer the lands of Palestine and Israel. Well, it would have been Canaan, I believe, at this point, or Philistine. Canaan or Philistine, I think, before it was like Israel. They conquered that in like fights against the Babylonians, I think. So there was like a big war. Babylonians, the Egyptians won the war. They took over the territory, yada, yada, yada. There's a very, very TLDR version of the history if we're talking about like Bronze Age Egypt here. And that's...
We don't need to get
yeah. Very, very TLDR version of the history here. And that's mostly the reason why the quote-unquote Israelites would have been enslaved here by the Israelites didn't just randomly end up in Egypt, Professor Jiang. They got conquered by the Egyptians when they were fighting with the Babylonians.
And they were sold
during those times.
Yeah,
and
they were sold into slavery. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. So he definitely glossed over that. Again, he's going fast, so I get it if he.
Yeah, like
little.
Yeah, like it's not 100% like necessary to know about like the actual history. I'm just like, I don't know. I just get triggered about that stuff. Don't worry about it, okay?
Well, and also just a little more context around this. This was also a time when in the Old Testament, in the Torah, where in the story, the people, who in this time when, Egypt had won against Babylon and conquered the territory of what's today Palestine, when the Israelite people were in Egypt, they had kind of slipped on their faith, like through generations. Like this faith had weakened quite a bit, and also being enslaved is very discouraging, obviously, to a people. So you can imagine that at that point their faith was not very strong, and so this is where the events of Exodus come about, right? Where obviously this is all, we don't know if this actually happened, but whatever. In terms of the narrative, God brought plagues and locusts and all kinds of stuff, and had Moses do like crazy things, like turn the water into blood and stuff like that, which was really brutal. And then of course there was the angel of death, right? That killed all the firstborn sons of Egypt, but left the Israelites alone, right? Saved the Israelites. And then that's when the Exodus started. So yeah, this is, I guess, a time of like revival, basically, faith for the Israelites, and of course returning to the promised land. But again, like I said, what I don't like about Professor Jiang is he's adopting some aspects of Herzl Zionism and revising a lot of this, because again, even if it's a promised land, there's other people there. You can't just kick them out. Like, it doesn't say in there you kick those people out, but Yeah, I mean Herzl wanted to. So yeah, I also have I have a problem with the way he's framing Promised Land here because it's not the original. But anyways, whatever. It's we can blame Herzl for all of this revisionism. Thanks a lot. Anyways.
Thank you, Theodore. Very, very cool.
To free the Israelites from Egypt and take them back to the promised land. When Moses does this, God says, now what you must do is give the Israelites my law, the 10 Commandments. Okay? The law. Because otherwise, I can't trust you guys to behave. Okay? So now this is the fourth covenant. So now the Israelites are back in the promised land, but again, and even though there's laws, they still become wicked, and they start.
Well, that's the golden calf, right? I think he's going to mention that, like where they started worshiping a golden calf, and obviously, we have an analogy to today, right? We have you've probably seen all the golden, like what was that? It was the Gaza AI video that Trump.
Yeah, Trump Gaza #1, yeah, with all the gold statues. I think that's just more. Yeah, I think that's just like more so a byproduct of like Trump's just sort of gaudiness, and he wants gold statues of himself like erected not because of like the golden calf, although like you can make like religious allegory to that very, very easily, but that's just because in his like childish mind it's like, well, if you're like a great dictator or a great ruler, people erect golden statues of you, right? And that's like, I think like really, really simple, basically, really, really simple.
Yeah, and again, it sort of harkens back to the story of the golden calf, and I've always it's funny because I always tick off evangelicals when I say you guys actually are just worshiping a dear leader, you're not worshiping God, and they get really mad because it like dismantles their whole notion of their whole like holier than thou the whole it dismantles their self-righteousness, I guess you could say. But I like to make them mad, I like to trigger them, I'll continue doing it. It's fun.
It's true.
It's a fun sport. I highly recommend it. Anyways, this is the establishment of the 10 Commandments, and I guess the word wicked in the Bible, especially, there's so many interpretations of the word wicked. Basically, and obviously there's the wicked emote. We love that emote in chat with the Oakley sunglasses. Wicked indeed. But basically, it's used in a lot of different contexts, and one of the contexts could be that you harm someone else, right? You inflict harm on someone else or yourself. The other is that you disobey these laws, right, that God put in place, right, the 10 Commandments. So if you covet your neighbor's wife, that's wicked. You can't do that.
It's like the Imperium calling everybody a heretic or something, right? It's shit like that. Basically.
I mean, you could call it that. I mean, there were contexts where it was like you're a heretic, you're an outsider, and then there were contexts of holding you accountable for actual, harmful things you're doing. So like whether you're committing fraud or stealing or whatever, like those kind of things. Yeah, there's multiple contexts for wicked, and he's simplifying a bit here, I think. And this is more of a liberation interpretation of the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are like guidance for your life. That's kind of how it's seen. A lot of a lot of rabbis will say this too. It's more about guidance and allowing you to grow and question. As you probably know, in Jewish synagogues, questioning is heavily encouraged. In fact, the rabbi wants you to ask questions, wants you to ponder, wants you to question. Whereas in Christian churches, you ask a question and the pastor says you're disobeying authority, which no, it's we want to grow. And that's one of the problems I have in Christian spaces. There's a lack of growth in those. It's just you guys, it's just sort of LARPing as, people that are holier than others, LARPing as chosen people, and saying that we're the ones going to heaven, everyone else is screwed. Whereas I like the more sort of, I like the more Jewish and even Islamic approach. In Islam, questioning is encouraged too, in many ways. And so I like this idea of that you can ask questions, you can grow, you can figure out like, what's sort of my guide, what are the guiding principles for my life going forward. And I think that's really helpful.
I think some historical context for as to why that's more than likely the case is probably because of differing factors of climate, like the mini ice ages, I think is part of the reason for as to why that's the case. But another part of the reason for as to why is a lot of the inquisitions that would happen very, very often during the dark ages of the medieval period of history. That's more than likely why a lot of Christians think like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It like stems from old monarchy and I guess sort of extensions of that into colonialism. Like yeah, there's a lot of strings attached when it comes to that. So, but yeah. Anyways, that's sort of the context behind the word wicked. So yeah, he's simplifying a bit.
To worship false gods. So God punishes them, and God's now looking for a good leader of the Israelites. And then finally he finds a person named David, who becomes the king of the Israelites. And God says to David, you are the person I've been looking for all of eternity. You are the best example of what it means to be a faithful follower of me, Yahweh. Okay? And so this is something called the Davidic covenant. The Davidic covenant states that God will always favor Israel as the chosen nation.
This is full Herzl. I love that. Oh my God. He's just leaning into it.
Yeah, because the concept of the nation state didn't really exist. It would have been a kingdom at this point in time. It would have been God's favorite kingdom. So, no, like, this is purely fucking revisionist. This is nonsense. Like, I don't know if he's trying to say, like, oh, this is what it would be in, like, a more modern context, but I'm pretty sure, like, in every instance, like, anyone who, like, heavily studies the Bible or like maybe like the more ultra orthodox Jews would just be like, no, this is like some fucking heretic shit. Would not have been a nation at this point in time.
No, and like they would say, oh, this is some like messianic stuff. Like, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, this sort of this chosen nation stuff. It's interesting because at like protests, you'll see like ultra orthodox Jews holding signs like they don't
think Israel should be in existence right now, right?
Yeah, because it's not the time. It's not God's time yet. Like they basically think that like colonizers made it like their unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East. So, and it's not the real thing. So, which, yeah,
like, it's technically true. like it's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna go full Herzl on us today with David. Oh boy.
And the house of David will rule Israel forever. Okay. So guys, quick question here. Who wrote the Bible? Probably this guy, okay? Right?
No, that's assembled.
Yeah, that's a bunch of fucking gobbledygook. David did not write. Even I know that this is not the case. No, it was assembled based off of a bunch of scripture from like the Torah and a bunch of other like religious texts. This is nonsense.
Correct.
Made by I don't remember I don't know if do we have like the name of the dude who basically did that? No, I don't think so. Like,
it wasn't any particular person. It would have been, so at this point you would have had a Jewish temple, right? The temple in Jerusalem. Yeah. The old temple. And the old temple was run by a specific tribe of the Jewish people, the Israelite people known as the Levites. The Levites were essentially like the top dogs in Jewish society. They were the priest caste, class, whatever, if you will, and they were the ones who were allowed inside the temple, inside the the inner sanctum of the temple in Jerusalem. And so the Levites, the Levite scribes were the ones who were interpreting and interpreting and prophesying the word of God. And so essentially the Torah was formalized by them. Then later obviously you have all of the other texts of the Old Testament, all the prophetic texts like Isaiah. David is attributed to have written primarily the Psalms. If you know, the Psalms are like poetry.
That's the poetry, right? Yeah.
And then also many of the Proverbs. I mean, the thing is, though, kings like David and Solomon have never been proven to actually exist archaeologically. So there's a whole archaeological quagmire with the Bible and the Torah, whatever. We can disregard that for the moment. But in terms of theologically, if you want to follow the narrative, David is attributed mainly to Psalms because David was an instrumentalist and a singer, musician, in narrative, and used to offer his services to royalty as a musician when he was younger, and then Solomon, later on would, write poetry and stuff too. So they were both, artsy guys, David and Solomon. Not very masculine, and I'm just kidding.
Very artsy fartsy, kind of cringe.
Yeah. Yep. But anyways, so David didn't write the Bible. This is
not true.
Very wrong. Okay. Yeah.
If you had to guess who wrote the Bible, probably not Moses, probably not Abraham, probably not Noah, probably not Adam, probably this guy, okay? Because he's saying that all of these five, okay, I am the best. I'm the person that God loves the most. My family.
David never said that. If you read the book,
I don't think that's
read-
exactly how that works either. This seems very silly.
Actually, in the narrative of David, he doubted himself a lot because when he was put in as king, I mean, first of all, he did not come from a lot of wealth. He came from, a shepherd's family. He came from poverty, and he came from the lowest of the clans of Israel. I believe the tribe of Benjamin. Don't quote me. I know. There's probably. I'll have to like double check that, but he was from one of the lowest clans, and or lowest tribes of Israel, and so David had risen up because he defeated Samson with the slingshot, and then
that was Goliath
later,
right?
Yeah, he defeated Goliath with a slingshot, which again, mythical story, whatever. You're a 40K guy, you can appreciate this.
That's true.
So the thing is that oh yes, it was definitely a pecking order, a caste system. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much most human tribalism throughout like history. Especially in like confederations of tribes, certain bigger tribes will have like power over the smaller ones, generally speaking. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was like family lineage, hereditary occupation, very much like the Indian caste system, the South Asian caste system that developed over time as Hinduism syncretized right into one religion. So, anyways, the point I'm making is David came from one of these lower sort of tribal castes of Israel and rose up to be king, and that was like nobody thought. But then there were prophets before who were prophesying about David coming in and whatever. Anyways, the point I'm making is that David was thrust into suddenly being the king of an entire people, and so he often doubted himself. It's shown throughout the story that he doubted himself while he was in power. He even strayed from his role as king, ignored certain things, let stuff fall apart by the wayside. And obviously you probably know the story. I mean, there's a Leonard Cohen song, right? What's the song called? Hallelujah, where it tells the story of David being tempted by Bathsheba, who was someone else's wife. Nice meme. I think one of his generals' wives, if I remember correctly, or one of his military commanders' wives. And so, yeah. So there was that falling, and then of course God had to redeem David. So David had to confess his sins and everything. So anyways, David never said he was the best, according to the narrative. So this guy hasn't read like Isaiah and all those prophetic books. Clearly, he hasn't read the Bible. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he's read the Bible. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, he is what I would like to call a TikTokified Christian. I guess I don't know what else to call.
I don't even know if he's a Christian, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he would have gotten all his info off of like random TikTokers who pose as ministers. Like, there's a lot of this going on, unfortunately, and so I feel like we're seeing the after effects of that. And unfortunately, this is going out to 1 million people. So, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will rule the world because that is God's will. Okay? Now, of course, that's not what happens. Eventually, David has a son named Solomon, and these two are considered the two best rulers of Israel. And this is what we call the Davidic kingdom, okay? The Davidic kingdom, the golden age of Israel. But after Solomon, the Israelites turned wicked again, and then God has to punish them and scatter Israel across the world. Okay?
That's a bit simplistic. What actually happened is there were invasions from
by the
other
Romans
kingdoms.
and other kingdoms. Wait, this still would have been early Bronze Age. No, this would have been like post Bronze Age, like Iron Age at this now. Before that, Bronze Age is like 1500 BCE, around there to about 600. No, not 600. Like 400 something, 500 something like that. Whenever the Sea People started invading, that's when the Bronze Age collapse happened.
It might have been like long after David, but yeah, that's when that collapse started happening, and so that's why this sort of exile of Jewish people, the first exile, right? They call this the first exile. It was not just like he's attributing it to the sins of the people, whatever. It's more just this sort of.
Then it would have been probably collapse. So probably collapse of the Bronze Age, invasion by the Sea Peoples. That's probably what it is.
Yep. And I mean, obviously, it's reframed, and theologically, it's reframed as like the sins of the people. That's why they were scattered to the ends of the earth, et cetera, et cetera. But like, yeah, we know historically that's not the full story. And yeah, this is why, again, I don't like this whole nation building narrative that the Zionists have turned the Old Testament into. I really don't like that because it's not what it's
not
about.
really that. It's not that at all.
No. Yeah, like again, you talk to most Jewish people, they're like, yeah, I don't get all this old nation building stuff. It's all more about community and family, and obviously, Judaism is mainly hereditary. There is conversion through marriage and other ways, but like mainly it's hereditary and it's passed down and it's tight knit, but it's not about nation state. I mean, that stuff is like modern, very modern compared to like the, 4,000 years of tradition. So yeah.
And so the last covenant is the arrival of Jesus. What Jesus does is that, first of all, he reasserts the law of Moses and say to the Israelite people, remember Moses and his law, because that's what God wants. And then he sacrifices himself in order to free the Israelites of the original sin, right? Because God's pissed off at people because people ate the fruit. That's the original sin. That's the first crime of disobedience against God. So by killing himself, Jesus frees humanity of the original sin.
So Jesus did not kill himself. The Romans, because at this point in time, Judea, well, it would have been Palestina at this point in time. The province of Palestina would have been conquered by the Romans at this point in time. And the Romans thought that, oh, Jesus is like kind of going around, he's like talking to the to the Jews, and may potentially, this is very TLDR by the way, and may potentially be fomenting some form of rebellion against our rule in the area. And we don't really like that as the... Now, this is very, very late Roman Republic, about to border into Empire territory.
Yeah, this is Caesar Augustus time period.
Yes.
When Caesar Augustus was in power, yep.
And
the other thing, Jesus was very much a subverter of earthly authority. What I mean by that, just in layperson terms, obviously, against the brutal rule of the Roman Empire, but also there was the temple authorities he had to deal with. Because you remember in the narrative, Jesus was born.
Oh, this is the table flipping, right? Isn't it?
Kind of, it's leading up to that, but like Jesus grew. So Jesus was born to a carpenter. When Jesus was sent to earth as a child, as a baby, born through Mary, right? Joseph, his father, was a carpenter from Nazareth, and so Jesus learned carpentry from his dad. Just his earthly dad. Apprenticing, and then later, I guess, earned his way into rabbinical school, right, in Jerusalem, learning to becoming a rabbi. So people forget, in the narrative, Jesus was a rabbi, and all the apostles called him rabbi, teacher, and so because of that, the difference with Jesus was he challenged a lot of the notions of the time, kind of the same way Martin Luther did in 1500 with the Reformation, or like how liberation, black liberation theologians challenged the existing evangelical establishment, continue to do so today. People like Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King Jr., all of them. So anyways, he was a challenger of authority on multiple fronts, and he also challenged the apartheid of the time, because obviously Rome imposed apartheid of Jews and Gentiles. Obviously, that was upheld by the temple authorities as well. The Sadducees and the Pharisees upheld that. And so, Jesus was like, no, it is for all people, not just your chosen people. Everyone is chosen. And so that's where the sort of redemptive narrative of the forgiveness of Jesus comes from. And like you said, Jesus didn't kill himself. He was executed by the Roman authorities at the behest of also the temple authorities, who support.
They wanted to maintain the hierarchy that they had currently in place, because they wanted to keep the province for themselves.
And
which is why I find it so funny that Christian evangelicals are like, Jesus this and Jesus that, and it's just like, nah, dude, like what the fuck are you talking about? Jesus was anti-authoritarian inherently, and you people are pro-authority. It's silly, it's fucking stupid, but whatever. Like, whoa, Christian evangelicals don't believe in anything, it's all an inherent contradiction. No, stop.
Yeah, and one thing I will say from personal experience, I used to be, now for any Christians in here, like, who's this Christian guy? He's speaking like he's a lefty commie Christian.
Yeah, what are you?
No,
cuck?
I used to be a right-wing, far-right Christ fascist when I was growing up, because initially I was Methodist and sort of normal kind of. And then my family started going more to more fundy churches. And when we started going to those, that's where the sort of far right streak in me came from. And of course, I was, 10 or 11 years old, and I just, I was dumb. So
Yeah, I'd be
that's
like
what
that.
10-year-old boys do. They love becoming dictators for some reason.
This is
But
true.
anyways,
Many such cases.
yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
I never fell for that. I'm just built different. I've always been inherently anti-authority. I always would get in fights with my parents all the time and just like not really want to fucking listen to them unless I was
Yeah, I
just
got
like,
all the
yeah, you got cucked. Unfortunately, you got society
yeah,
cucked. I was never society pilled. Okay, I was just like I have always questioned authority. I'm just like, why should I fucking
two
listen?
based.
Why?
Two based. Yeah. Meanwhile, me, I was getting all the fell for it again awards. Spam them in chat.
Yeah, it's
But
over for you.
anyways, yeah. But not anymore. But yeah, it's like I had that phase, and I think when people think about like authority, right, in terms of Christianity, the thing is they sort of reframe God as like this authoritarian king whose decrees like you can't say no, right? And you have to go ahead with it. And of course, then they attribute a lot of things to God, like the war in Iran, for example, the invasion of Iran, you could say, or the illegal invasion of Iran, and you could say, well, that's God's plan, and he's declaring that we can't go against it. It's like, how do you know this?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like, what did you? Yeah, did you put like an antenna on your head? Be like, or I'm contacting God. I'm doing my fucking like. Are you like a communicant from Trench Crusade or something who can actually like communicate with God? No, you can't fucking do that. Shut up. You can't do that. You're not like a superhuman like radar essentially that almost dies communicating to God. Bullshit. Don't believe you. It's nonsense.
no. Well, and the thing is, like, I don't, as liberation Christians, we don't. One of the concepts in Abrahamic religion is that God has many different names. As far like there's a whole names of God thing, which I don't know if you ever went over that when you were growing up,
Nah.
going to, you said, Anglican school. They might have taught you and you forgot.
No,
But
like
there,
all we did during that was
yeah,
just read the Bible. That's it.
yeah.
It was
Well, it's in there.
easiest class
Yeah.
of my life. We just sat there, just read the Bible, and we were just like, okay, whatever, cool.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's an easy A, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is that the the Torah slash Bible and also the Quran, the same names are there in Arabic. There are like 35 or 36 names of God,
Mhm.
and one of them is Mighty King, but there are so many other names like Wonderful Counselor, Mediator, this, that. So God is often described as sort of a counselor, a mediator, someone who resolves issues, someone who de-escalates, someone who brings peace, right? God of peace, God of justice is a name also. So liberation Christians, people who are more lefty sort of Christians in liberation spaces, we emphasize that more and less of the, dictatorial authoritarian
Yeah, turning people into
stuff
pillars of
because
salt kind of thing, right?
yeah, we don't, and the reason is because there are so many examples in stories in all the texts, the Quran and the Bible and Torah, where God actually intervened and healed someone or freed someone. I mean, Jesus is said to have healed many people or brought them out of bondage or slavery, or for example, convinced a tax collector to give up all of his unearned wealth, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So and obviously, yeah, did he, whip the merchants and drive them out of the temple violently? Sure, but they were, gambling in the house of God. You don't do that. I mean, it's essentially the same as kicking out megachurch pastors, which I wish that would happen today. May more of them rot in prison.
True.
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't see God so much as like an authority. And the way he is presenting this is, again, he's presenting sort of what he's presenting here, what Professor Jiang is presenting here, is essentially what all the evangelical like right wingers present the Bible as. So, like, that's why you're seeing so many holes with it, and you can already see the issues. So I find liberation theology much more complete because it actually examines different interpretations of the text, as well as it casts a wider lens onto these narratives, which is nice, and I think that fixes a lot of issues, because I truly think, if we're going to have, like, for example, like, yes, church has a lot of problems, Christianity has a lot of problems. The thing Christianity does more than I've seen, Christianity and Islam and Judaism have done more than I've seen in other faiths is giving back
To the
community,
community. Well, because that's what it was
charity,
originally all
mutual aid.
built off of,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that's the
yeah.
point of it.
So there are some like the most effective in India. What's funny in where I'm from originally in India, it's only about 5 or 6% Christian. It's growing, but it's only 5 or 6%, whereas Islam is at like 25% in India. So the thing is that though, despite Muslims and Christians and Sikhs being minorities in India numerically, their charity organizations, their charities, their missions, their mutual aid orgs are very effective in actually, reducing child trafficking, poverty. They've actually done quite a bit to uplift communities, like in rural areas and slums, and a lot of other places. Like it's so interesting how religious minorities have contributed so much to a country that large. So the thing is that there's a lot of really good aspects to Abrahamic religions, and I understand they're, obviously I don't want to sit here and deny that a lot of bad stuff has happened in the name of Abrahamic religion. Obviously, it has. Like I personally know people who have suffered through like physical harm in conversion therapy, like trauma and stuff like that, which I don't want to talk about too much because it's difficult. I know people have gone through that. I almost got sent to it myself. And so the thing is, though, there is this aspect of the faith that often gets overlooked, which is this, again, this mutual aid and this strong community and this sort of seeing God as less of a authority and more as of glue between human beings that sort of brings us together, common spirit, etc. And I think this is a common thing you see even in indigenous faiths with like the different, spirits and gods they worship. So there is this sort of like notion that they form sort of the glue between us human beings, which I think is really good because if we don't have that, we're hyper individualist and we compete with each other, and that's bad. So,
Well, unfortunately,
anyways.
that's the current dynamic that we have right now, which a lot of these like
Unfortunately.
evangelical, well, dipshits have like perverted through like, it's something right, like the first like mega church pastor in the United States who emerged. Something right, I don't remember his name.
Uh, I
Like the big
believe.
one in like the 1900s. You know who I'm talking about, right? Early
I mean,
1900s.
there was Billy Graham, but then there was one guy before him,
Billy
right?
Graham. That's the
Billy
guy I'm
Graham.
thinking
Yeah.
of. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there were others. There was Amy Semple McPherson, who was like 20 years before him. Interesting fact, Amy Semple McPherson was like this. She was this, what would I call her? She was like the first charismatic preacher or one of the first big ones.
Hmm.
She came from Canada. I know, unlucky from Canada.
Oh,
Look at
us.
Canada
Oh,
again.
so,
Yeah. But then she moved to the US and started like, charismatically preaching and was very Calvinist in her preaching and stuff. So yeah, you can
no, those
already see the
guys. Those
problem.
guys are fucking psychos
Yeah.
as well. Calvinists.
Yep. Yeah. So she was one of those.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was the start of all the issues. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that yeah, there is a side of religion, and I think it needs to be emphasized more. That's why I do this work. That's why I try to, I discuss this stuff because I think it helps people go in a better direction with their faith, and be more accepting of people of other faiths. Like, it's been so cool to like talk to people who are Buddhists or Hindu or even atheists. It's funny because people say, "Oh, you're on the left. Don't you get canceled for being a Christian?" Never, never. It's always
Yeah,
the right thing.
no one gives really. I mean, the only people who will do that are like the dumb fucking Marxist Leninists, but that's because they're also
Well,
in a form of a cult as well.
I don't talk to them.
Yeah, like no one gives a shit, to be honest.
Yeah, but I get canceled way harder by right wingers. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
and by unks and stuff.
Hey,
So
oh
yeah,
shame.
no, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, but this idea of like, yeah, I don't like the way he's framing the redemption story. It's not a good interpretation.
He redeems humanity. Okay? The last thing that Jesus does is he creates a new covenant. Okay? A new covenant between humanity and God.
Okay, I mean that's accurate. Yeah, I mean it's a sort of instead of having to pay for the sins of your ancestors and sacrifice animals to forgive sins, it's now done through done through the Holy Spirit and all that. Like it's basically sort of resolve the key issue, right? That's basically what this has done is resolve this new covenant resolves a key issue where people can just give up the sins they've committed. They can give up that burden and at least move on with their life. So I think that's a good thing. And I think we all do that to some degree, whether we're Christian or believers or not believers. I think everybody does that to a degree. At some point in your life, you give up on, you don't drag the past around with you, you let it go and move on. So I think that concept is really powerful. So
or like take a cheap way out, sacrifice a heifer or whatever, and just move on with your life, kind of a deal, right?
Yeah, whereas this is different because when you're letting go of that stuff, you actually reflect and you try to
learn something.
Exactly.
Hey, evangelicals, that's what we call learning. I know it's very difficult for you guys to do that, but learning and reflecting is very important, guys.
Very. Every day.
From now on, because Jesus has freed everyone from the original sin, everyone can now be with God. You don't have to be Israelite. You don't have to follow the Mosaic law. You don't even have to come from the family of David. Anyone and everyone can now love God, and God will love that person back. Okay.
So it became universal.
And this
that's accurate.
Christianity, right? So this, guys, is called Judaism, what the Jews believe. Okay? And this is all 6 is what Christians believe, Christianity. Right? The first 5 covenants are what Jews believe to be true.
Is that accurate?
Will...
I'm just curious. Is that accurate?
No, he's making a distinction. This is where the anti-Semitism sort of creeps in. This is very subtle, but he's saying that the first 5 covenants are Judaism, and only the 6 is Christians.
Now, I was about to say it's not exactly how that works. I don't think so.
I think what he fails to understand is that the 6th covenant, Jesus, is based upon the first 5 covenants, because Jesus doesn't say, he doesn't just tear up the law and the 10 Commandments. And
it's all built upon.
Yes. So there is a foundation. And again, you could also say the 6 covenants, and I guess you could almost say maybe the 7th covenant was with the Prophet Muhammad.
That's what Islam would argue, right?
Yeah, that there's a 7th covenant. But again, that is based on the first 6. So it builds upon each other, because you have to think like Judaism was very specific to a region, very specific to hereditary lines and families and clans. Christianity globalized it. But then, of course, out of the, I guess out of like Arabia, you had this sort of. There's always been revisions to religion. There's always like revolutions within faith that happen over time within religions. So like Islam, you could say was like a sort of a new revolution in Abrahamic thinking, and it sort of meshed with a lot of the like advancements that happened within like Persia and the caliphates of the time. So that's why like in Islam, there's so much emphasis on the lunar calendar, on stars, on.
That's why they have a completely different calendar in comparison to the West, Yeah,
and then there's like an emphasis on like developing and learning. So there's this emphasis on science as well, which is pretty cool. So I think that's sort of where that's sort of where that emerged from. But yeah, no. It's the 6th covenant is based on the first 5. It's not separate. So,
listen, it's like civilization, right? Someone gets the reference. Listen, if you have high religion, you also have high science. Whenever you played as the Muslims, or whenever you had high science, you also had high faith.
True.
Will return to restore the kingdom of David, okay? But not Jesus. Not Jesus. The Christians believe that Jesus is the final prophet. Okay? In fact, Jesus is God himself. That's why it's called Christianity.
No, actually, a lot of Christians don't believe that. If you talk to Catholics, they don't believe that Jesus is God himself. Again, there's the whole Trinitarian, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
They would think all of those guys are God.
Well, that's the one. The evangelicals think that. The Catholics make distinctions. So they say that there's the Father. The Father is like this sort of ultimate sort of counselor, authority, omnipresent, creator, etc.
That would be God.
The Son is not a creator, but is a bridge to God for human beings to get redemption.
So the Avatar.
In some way.
I'm making an analogy to like the media or something. This would be like the Avatar.
Yeah, so Jesus is like sort of a connector, an avatar, and then you have the Holy Spirit, which the Holy Spirit is more sort of, the Holy Spirit is it's a very sort of post biblical concept, and a lot of Jewish people I talk to, like, what do you guys mean by the Holy Spirit? Like, a lot of Jewish people don't, like, because they don't have that concept in Judaism. This emerged later, I guess, as part of like the later doctrine.
Yeah, probably
church.
some shit a Roman wrote somewhere. Okay, let's just
Yeah,
some,
it might be
some shit like that.
Well, and the notion of an eternal hellfire, that actually came from Greek mythology. They sort of adapted Greek mythology, the mythology of Hades.
That's
Um,
that's a very Roman thing to do.
Yep. So that it's like post Jesus, I guess, post Christian, or you could say post the time of Christ. You could say. So yeah, a lot of that stuff came later. But anyways, yeah, this is where he skips over a lot of this stuff, and he just presents a very one-sided, sort of fundy evangelical view of this. Like, this is what you would see in every megachurch, essentially, is what he's presented here.
Because they believe in Jesus Christ. So this is the entire history of Judaism and Christianity, what they believe, officially. Any questions before I move on?
All right, let's move on. I don't want to
Now,
spend too much
understand,
time here.
If you are a true Christian,
Now let's get to the
there are
schizo stuff.
actually lots of issues with this understanding. The first issue is, why did God have to kick us out of the Garden of Eden? I mean, was eating of fruit so bad as to banish us from paradise? Like,
Well, okay. It's because it was known as the apple of knowledge, right? If I recall correctly. It gave humanity the sort of knowledge in order to maybe not like necessarily go against the authority of God, but it gave humanity the knowledge, because like that's what the serpent was like lying to Eve about specifically, right? When she took a bite of the apple. Like, oh, you can learn about all these like crazy little secret things if you eat this apple. Ooh, look at me. Look at the apple. Go eat the apple. Go eat it. And I know it's like a whole thing that like the serpent was like an avatar of Satan or some shit. Whatever. That's like a whole completely like can of fucking different worms.
Yeah, I'm not going to open that right
yeah,
now.
let's not open that. But that's also like a thing that some people believe. But from what I recall correctly, the apple itself, and this is what like Assassin's Creed unironically sort of like also refers to, because apparently like the Garden of Eden was actually like a human factory or something. It's really weird, but like whatever. Yeah, it's wacky. There's a lot of wacky stuff going on there. The apple itself was when Eve ate it, she got flooded with a bunch of knowledge of things that she was not supposed to know about, like the concepts of like good and evil, the concepts of like I don't know, like existence or something. Maybe not existence, but like she was given knowledge that God did not want humanity to have, basically.
Well, because maybe a good metaphor or good analogy to this is sort of what you're seeing now with generative AI, which it's funny because evangelicals 5 years ago, this is sort of this is sort of something that I noticed. 5 years ago, they were decrying like OpenAI, like when they first heard about OpenAI, and Jensen Huang was touting, generative AI and stuff. When this started happening, and I think this was around the time when like Midjourney was huge. Christians were decrying it because they said like, okay, this is an abomination, whatever. They love it now. They use it all. I know all the aunties and uncles.
The Charlie Kirk, like unironically, like this was not there's a Majority Report segment on this, but there's like a Charlie.
I saw it.
There's like crazy. There's like some Charlie Kirk sermon thing that some like mega pastor was doing. It was so weird. It's so cringe. It's like why? It's like, why are you having Charlie Kirk give a fucking sermon? Like, the fuck? That's so weird.
And it was AI. It was AI generated. I guess maybe he used 11 Labs or one of the voice generators. He used that, and people clapped and stood and were crying. I'm like, what? It's AI. What are you doing?
Yeah, dude. It's Charlie Kirk fucking talking from heaven, bro. Like, nice meme.
Yeah, supposedly, with ones and zeros. But anyways, yeah, it's like now they're fully embracing it. And what's really, so what I'm getting at is the knowledge, I guess, that the Apple gave Eve was, I guess, the ability to basically, create abominations. Essentially, you could think of it that way. So,
that's kind of this is where because he's gonna start talking about abominations. Because I guess what, I'm a bit of a dirty pre-watcher. He's gonna start talking about
you
abominations. I didn't pre-watch all of it. Okay,
I didn't
like,
pre-watch. I didn't at all.
Yeah, he's gonna start talking about abominations, and this is like the whole sort of idea for as to why like Christians really hate women. Well, mostly evangelicals really fucking hate women because of Eve eating the apple and then creating a bunch of like demons or abominations or whatever by eating the fucking apple. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is where, and so yeah, it's funny. I haven't even watched this video. Like I wanted to go into it, fresh, no pre-watch. And how did I call that? I don't know. I'm in his head.
Yeah, you're in his head.
Yep.
Fruit, okay? That's a great mystery in the religion. Why did the original sin happen? And why was God so angry? Second problem is Noah. I mean, like, God destroyed the world because we were wicked. But after he destroyed the world, we were still wicked. So why did God have to destroy the world in the first place? If he's God, then should he understand how humans are? Wouldn't he understand that destroying the world would just, it doesn't really do anything, okay? So that's kind of strange. The last problem is Jesus. Who was Jesus? And why did he have to kill himself?
Didn't kill himself.
Didn't kill himself,
anyways,
but okay, yeah.
God had to send his only son to die for humanity. Okay, so if you're new to Christianity, the very idea of Jesus actually doesn't make much sense to you. I grew up in the West. I grew up in a Christian world, and it never made sense to me, okay? People told me about how great Jesus was, like, okay, the story doesn't make any sense. So if you're a really smart person, there are lots of questions about this interpretation of the Bible, and these are the three major ones. Okay? So now what I will do now is I'll explain to you what the secret societies believe really happened.
The secret
guys
society.
forget
So,
like yeah what did the Illuminati think of all this? What did the Jesuits think of this, or the Freemasons think of all of this? Yeah. And all this bullshit.
So I want to start with Noah. Why did God destroy the world? The reason why God destroyed the world is not because of humans, but because of something else. These people are called the Nephilim.
Aha, Nephilim. So
Nephilim.
So
they're like half human, or like okay, it depends on the interpretation, right? They can either be half angel, half demon, or half human, half angel, or half demon, half human.
there's
it depends. Depends on the video game as well. That's where I'm mostly pulling that from.
Of course, but the overall concept of Nephilim is you basically from what I've read, and I haven't read too much into the Apocrypha, like I said, but the thing is that so it is believed, and actually it kind of ties into the narrative of Samson, because if you remember, Samson was a giant, right, and David defeated him with a slingshot, so a slingshot to the head. But the thing is that the Nephilim are these like giant type beings. And these giants who were basically bringing about the fall of the world, essentially, sort of you could say, almost like death bringers or things like that. So basically, the Nephilim were bringing about the fall of the world. And so what he's going to probably make the claim here, and I guess again I haven't dug into esoteric too much, but the thing is that he's going to blame this on the Nephilim, right? These sort of demonic sort of giants that are like bringing about the fall of the world, and then of course the cherubim and seraphim, who are like the angels, were there to like save us from all of that. So this is where sort of you have all these like mystical.
Yeah, we're getting into the mythology right now.
Yes. Yeah, this is where sort of stuff. Like you have like supernatural, like mystical, like beings that are like outside of our purview as humans.
Yeah, because like Nephilim Nephilim would basically be like superhumans, or like super.
Oh yeah, I mean they're like
demigods.
Literally giant. Yeah, they were described as giants or demigods, you could say. But yeah, he's going to go into this, but that's essentially the background of it, is that they were going to make the world. They were going to bring about the fall of the world, like into hell or sin or whatever. And yeah,
that's the same references that are also made in like so many different media properties. The Nephilim.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's good that the existence of the Nephilim means it's like the end of like existence and whatnot.
Yep.
Like that's the thing with Darksiders. 4 Nephilim were chosen as horsemen of the apocalypse, and they wiped out all of the Nephilim, because it's just like, well, we can't have all these like superhuman guys just running around just killing everything. So we're gonna have 4 of them. They're gonna be the avatars of balance. Well, that sort of all changed in the story of the games themselves. But Death, who you play as in Darksiders 2, was the one who killed all of the Nephilim.
Right. I need to play those.
Okay. Also, by
They're
the
good
way,
games.
if you guys are interested in learning more, there are 2 books that are not part of the Bible, but which will give you insight into the esoteric knowledge. Okay. The first is called the Book of Enoch. Book of Enoch.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier.
The second is called the Gospel of Thomas.
Now, if you remember Thomas, and this is again sort of a tie-in to South Asia.
The Tank Engine?
Thomas. No. Yeah, Thomas the Tank. Exactly. I mean, we have a lot of trains in India, so
That's true.
what do
That's
you
true.
expect? Yeah, we apparently I have heard we have like just as many trains as China, if not more. So we have a massive train network. So yeah, we got a lot of Thomas the Tanks over there.
Very,
The thing
very
is that-
factorial build. I respect that.
Yes. Yes. And so Thomas, for those who remember, was an apostle around the time of Jesus, right? He was one of the apostles, the Apostle Thomas. And so he obviously was there, while Jesus was spreading the word and liberating people, healing people, whatever. He traveled with him. And then when Jesus had been crucified, and of course there's the resurrection narrative. When Jesus resurrected, he actually came back in an act called the Transfiguration momentarily. He came back to meet the apostles and give them their mission, like spread the word, right?
That's
the
the start of missionary work, right?
The start of Pentecost. It's called Pentecost, or the start of the church, essentially, was from there. So that the event known as the Transfiguration, where Jesus came back temporarily to show his risen self and give the mission to the apostles, say spread it out, and spread the good news. And so at the time, Thomas doubted. If you remember the story of doubting Thomas, Thomas doubted that was Jesus. He thought it was some like fallen angel or some spirit or evil spirit. He didn't know, and he had to see, okay, were those wounds in your hands real from the nails that went through his hands on the cross? And they were. And so doubting Thomas suddenly believed. And so it is purported, and if you go to Kerala in southern India, it's a state in southwest India, a lot of the Christians there are what they call Mar Thoma Christians, which means Christians who were initially converted by Thomas himself. So Thomas had traveled out, just like Paul had traveled out to southern Europe and Turkey. Thomas actually traveled through like Persia and what is today like the Indus River Valley, and went all the way down to southern India. It is purported, we don't know. And apparently Thomas actually challenged authority in Kerala. There was an existing king who wanted him killed. And actually in Tamil Nadu, if you go to the city of Chennai, there's a famous the capital of Tamil Nadu. There's a hill where there's a famous church, and it is purported that Thomas was actually executed at that spot. He actually was executed by the king's authorities there, for spreading false religion or whatever. Yeah. So Thomas actually wrote a gospel, and it was never in Protestant or Catholic Bibles, but if you go to Kerala, a lot of the Bibles there actually have the Gospel of Thomas in them. Really interesting fact. So this is sort of a tie-in to one of my favorite places in the world. It's funny because I often I often make this joke, but because Kerala has a high percentage of Christians compared to other Indian states, so I often call Kerala the real Holy Land. That's where it's really at.
Technically one of the apostles are there, so it's technically true.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a pretty religious place. There are temples and mosques and churches everywhere. There's churches on every corner in that state. So you don't find many atheists down there. There's some, but yeah, you don't find a whole lot down there. But yeah, that's the real Holy Land, my friend.
All right, so I am using these 2 books as sources for my explanation, okay? So the Nephilim are children of angels and women, okay? So what happened was that the angels who were supposed to watch humanity came down and saw, wow, these humans, these females are really beautiful.
Damn, I didn't know that fucking angels were like Zeus, who saw like a beautiful fair-haired woman and was just like, I'm gonna stick my dick in it.
Yeah, this sounds like some like revisionism from like ancient Greece or something.
Yeah, probably.
Or the Roman. Yeah, or like this is something the Romans threw in later. I don't know. Like this. No, this is such a baby interpretation of the he hasn't read into it at all. Why is he teaching millions of people this, dude? This is so annoying. Like I would much rather listen to a Jewish scholar on this stuff. Like I think that's probably the most reliable source. Listen to like an anti-Zionist Jewish scholar. They're gonna get it, to a more sort of, they will be much closer to the sort of broad consensus among theologians. This guy is like taking some fringe interpretation, it seems, and just like,
Wait, boy meets mini.
and
You're saying
yeah.
that my quote-unquote professor, who only has a BA in literature, didn't study theology in university? No. I'm shocked.
Sorry.
Personally,
mean,
I for one,
it's
am
not my
shocked.
fault.
I for one am completely and utterly shocked.
Well, yeah, you this guy hoodwinked you. Well, not one.
Shucks.
Fell for it again.
I fell for it.
But anyways,
Shit.
but as soon as he said that, I'll add that. That's pretty funny.
So what they do? Well, they have sex with them, right? And then what happens? They have lots and lots of children. And what do these children do? These children enslave humanity. These people call it Nephilim, okay? So if you don't understand what happened, let's do a thought experiment. Let's just say that there's this group of superhumans called the Avengers. Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor.
Marvel soy! Dude, it's Marvel soy! It's becoming Reddit. He knows. Listen, another problem that I have with Professor Junk, all he does is play to an audience. He is playing to an audience right here.
Yep. And he's bringing the MCU into it, which I don't know. Stan Lee would not hate. Stan Lee is rolling over in his grave.
Yeah. Whoa. Don't you mean the MCU? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Uncle Ben was actually an angel. That's a good point, Alex. That's true. Saint Ben.
And they fight Thanos, and they save the world. And now what do? Well, they're bored, so they start to have lots and lots of sex. They have lots and lots of children. And these children now are like demigods, right?
Okay, this is a really TLDR version of what happened in the fucking comics. Even in the cinematic universe, that's not exactly what happens either. Like, they settled down and have families, but do they have a lot of children? No, not really. I mean, they haven't been introduced quite yet. It's a little weird. Like, it's all released in phases. It's all up to interpretation. It's not 100% like completely lore accurate to the comics from what I know. Like, exactly. But this is a very, very baby interpretation for us of what's going on here.
Now, there is the more mainstream, from what I've seen of the esoteric texts, the more mainstream interpretation is that the Nephilim are descendants of Cain. So if you remember Cain and Abel. Abraham's of Cain and Abel, right? And Cain was considered like the I guess the bad son or whatever. So that I guess the
don't you mean
Cain would be...
Wait, hold on. Don't you mean Cain from Command and Conquer? Think about it.
Yes, yes.
Religious allegory.
Yeah, I see what they did there in CNC. Very smart. But anyways, the Cain was considered. I mean, Cain had done a lot of wrong things to his own family, to his own brother, right, Abel, and so he was seen as like the evil one, right? There's there's a whole narrative of Cain and Abel, and so the Nephilim. There's another interpretation, and it's based on other verses in the apocryphal books, which is that the Nephilim are descendants of Cain. So, and Cain had, and I guess this is where, so I guess, I don't know where he got this interpretation of, I'm not sure where he got this from. He might have gotten it from what were they called? The Sabbatean Frankists. This might be a Frankist interpretation. I'd have to double check. This is maybe... This could be
like
they were pretty fringe.
Yeah, trying to be like, what did the Nephilim do when they were? They're just a slave to humanity. It's like, I don't think that's exactly how that works, man. They just like, human slave. Fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, at this point, we're way beyond historical fact. Anyways, we're going into narrative fiction and sort of metaphysics now. So you can't we got to put history aside.
It's time to do a little bit of trolling, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Humanity. But then what do? Well, they start fighting amongst themselves. Okay? So that's basically what happened. So God had to destroy the Nephilim because they are not natural. Angels and humans are not supposed to have sex with each other. And this creates a new power called the Nephilim. The problem, though, is...
Wait, okay, question. I thought angels were supposed to be like beings of chastity. Like, they're not supposed to have sex with anyone. Period, end of story.
Well, they can't. I don't think they can.
Yeah, can they?
They're not able to. No, they're not able to.
So how the fuck are they having sex with humans, Professor Jung? Like, how are they making unless this is like some stuff from... Is this even in the Gospel of Thomas or the Book of Enoch? Did this happen?
Highly doubt it. I'll have to. I
Like,
ask
okay,
my-
how about someone asked?
Mouth stuff.
Yeah, they did mouth stuff. They actually soaked through. They did soaking actually.
This explains Mormons, actually.
Did angels have? I'm just googling this. Have sex with humans to make the Nephilim? Sure, why not? We're doing a quick Google on this one. According to ancient interpretations of the Book of Enoch and many traditional views of Genesis 6, 1 to 4, fallen angels took human women as wives and produced the Nephilim. Oh, so he's not exactly 100% accurate here. But wait, does that mean they how would they have sex? Some Bible teachers believe that angels took the form of flesh. Oh, so they basically became humans. And that's how they had sex. Ah, okay.
And he skipped over that, obviously.
Yeah, he skipped over that. Okay, nice meme.
Yeah, again, this is okay. This is again. I think. Let me just highlight something here. I feel like Professor quote unquote Jiang is sort of this. This is the end result you get when someone gets all of their misinfo off of TikTok and all these short form media. I feel like this is a consequence of short form media. What we're seeing right here. This and it's. You know, someone can become a content creator just off of BS they learned off of, you know, short form media, never read the literature, never went to experts, never consulted anyone. I mean, you would think a smart professor, if he's going to call himself a professor, would call upon a rabbinical teacher or somebody to help him
Have
with
a
this, but no, he
reference.
didn't.
The
Yeah.
shit I said, I just did a 10-second Google search on my fucking phone, okay? Because I knew immediately, it's like, isn't the interpretations of angels that they're like flying giant eyeballs, basically, with like a ton of eyeballs? They have no like genitalia whatsoever. Like, this is gobbledygook. This is nonsense.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, and
A bunch
I
of
think
jibber
part of-
jabber.
So one of the things I think in Christian media that's happened over the past 50 to 60 years, have you ever watched the original Ten Commandments movie with Charlton Heston in it, who was playing
Nope.
Moses? That's an old movie. This is from like the 1950s. It's an old movie. I've seen it. And that was one of the first movies where they showed angels, and obviously they had human actors. So people anthropomorphize angels.
Yeah.
And so this is
That's
I feel
very
like this
very
is what-
common. If it's
Yeah.
if it's something that they like, I mean, okay. Besides like things they don't understand, they're gonna anthropomorphize them. So like, you know, it's close enough to that. Or like things that are liked, for example, like pets. They're gonna get anthropomorphized. That happens all the fucking time with humanity. That's just like a social thing we do.
Yeah. So I feel like that's where some of this may have come from. I mean, if you look at,
I mean, he
stained
literally
glass,
referenced fucking Marvel earlier, so.
Yeah, I guess maybe as an analogy, but even then, what I'm saying is that, like, I mean, if you go to, I guess, you know, I
It's
would
very
love
simple
to,
of him.
you know, well, I would very simple of him. Yeah. We need to get him a beanie real quick.
Yeah.
And then he can just wear it forever. But anyways, the actually it would be cool because I know in like Germany, like Central Europe, I mean obviously Notre Dame and Paris. If you go to any of the old churches in Europe that have like stained glass work or you know, or frescoes on the ceilings and stuff, they if you see how they depict like angels, they also anthropomorphize angels. Obviously they because I guess I don't know I don't know they anthropomorphize them as maidens or young women or whatever, which is really creepy and weird at Catholic Church. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I was, you know.
But
Diddling
I'm
kids?
curious.
Oh, I'm curious.
I mean, I guess it's different. I don't know how. I'm curious to see because I know in Eastern Europe you have Orthodox and you have iconography and Orthodoxy. So I'm curious to see how angels.
That's mostly through.
Like how
It's mostly through like a
portrayed.
bunch of different saints. That's
Correct.
what we more focus on is all the different saints because we have like name days for all of them, like all of them. Like
And I bet
my middle name is Andre. I sell it on December 6th. That's Sfântul Andre, or not December 6th. That's Saint Nicholas, which is Orthodox Christmas. But November 29th is Sfântul Andre or Saint Andre. That's
makes sense.
that's my saint, quote unquote, I guess.
Yeah, I have to look into them more in like Orthodox iconography of how they depict angels. But yeah, often they're anthropomorphized, and so I guess that's where this has come from. So this is kind of an example of like where he didn't actually go back to look at theological interpretation, and this is where sort of he's making all these assumptions based on like stuff that people came up with way long after the time of Jesus and the apostles, and long after the time of like of like early Judaism. So
Hmm.
yeah, not consulting the experts, kids. Always consult an expert. Always ask them. And I feel like these days, yeah, like you said, depth of subjectivity. That's something you talk about where
Hmm.
people don't like. It's basically where people are not able to understand how someone else thinks, and so what ends up happening is expertise no longer
Starts to
earns any
die more and
respect,
more.
and it dies. Yeah. So
And
this is
because
the end
and
product.
it's mostly because people just don't critically think anymore. It's where
Nope.
where it comes from. Because of education, broadly
Unfortunately.
speaking, also dying. A lot because of the commodified social media environment that we find ourselves under. It's all about garnering attention, and saying a bunch of schizo shit on the internet gets you a lot of attention, gets you clicks, gets you views, gets you money. And that's what people care the most about.
Yeah, and I feel like actually, as much as I love going after Asmongold and Tectone and the likes of them. I feel like actually this guy is more dangerous in a way because A, he's got a
Yes.
bigger following. B, he's everywhere. He's on every flipping podcast. He
Asmongold has
gets
a bigger following, I think, than this guy, but
uh,
he'll reach more people with his like very easy to approach sort of content. Like normies will be able to eat, whereas they'll see like someone like
yes.
Asmongold and they'll be driven away instantaneously.
Yeah, like this guy is more not only more presentable, he talks in a way he simplifies things down to where normies can understand, like basically apply like sports ball logic to everything. And then the other problem with him is like he goes on every podcast. So he has,
Exactly
while he
like
may not have
who?
the
Jordan
numbers,
Peterson. It's
yes.
the exact same
Mhm.
dude.
Yeah, it's the Rogan, I guess, sort of effect. And so has he? I wonder if this guy's ever been on Rogan. I hope he never goes. Oh my God, dude, it's going to be the worst. If
Mm,
he goes on Rogan, Rogan's just going to he's not
yeah,
going to
he's just
approach
gonna
it
yap
anyway.
and like listen to like all the esoteric nonsense and come away with it. Let me
Yeah,
see.
and then Justin will
Perf
pull. Yeah,
Yeah, Jamie will basically not do. Jamie pull
not
that
just
shit up and then
Jamie.
he won't do shit. So
Yeah.
what? Professor Jiang, Joe Rogan. Has he been on Joe Rogan? I don't think he's been on Rogan yet, but he'll probably come across the
Yeah.
radar at some point in time.
Please, God, no.
No, I don't think he's been there yet. I mean, he.
Oh.
I mean, his people will ask him to. His fans will definitely ask him to go on at some point in time, and Rogan will
Mm,
definitely have him on at some point, but
please.
guaranteed. And it's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be the exact same shit as like when Rogan had Jordan Peterson on. Like that's
Mhm.
basically it. Probably like
Yeah,
ratcheting
him
him
or
up
like
to like superstardom. But so far, no, he's not been on Rogan yet.
yeah. Rogan might not be prepared for that discussion because yeah,
No,
he
like
doesn't want
if
to lose his
Rogan
audience.
doesn't have a knowledge in terms of like a particular discussion, he'll just let the guests ramble on about it. That's his shtick.
I mean, that's how he enabled Alex Jones. So,
Hmm.
yeah. But anyways, yeah. The thing is, this guy is more dangerous because he has more breadth, whereas Asman has numbers. Asman doesn't go on podcasts really. He used to have one podcast with Tectone and Emmy Rue, and that fell apart. This guy has influence, right? He has a wide sphere of influence, and it's getting
Yeah,
bigger by the
he
minute.
has potential for growth. Asmongold is technically still growing, but he will stagnate eventually.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
his
mean, he's gonna
orbiters have all completely stagnated. All of them are stagnant.
he's going to capture the entire Reform Party in the UK, and then he'll be done. That's
Yeah, pretty
essentially it.
much, yeah. Or like the
Yep.
Restore, whatever the fuck they have going. Because there's like a schism going on with the far right in the UK, which is why they're like, the British may actually have a chance to not like fall to the far right because of a
Hey,
schism
hey.
that's going on because of some shit Nigel Farage probably said. But take what you can
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, and Zach Belansky, he's got to triple down on that. That's perfect timing. He's got,
Yes.
and I think he is. I think he is. So he's got to keep doing what he's doing. So,
Mhm.
um, He won't let a guy say the U.S. and Trump will lose to her. Yeah, he can't because again, his audience is there are a lot of like military.
Rogan's
Sounds like
audience.
military, but
Well, no, Rogan's audience is the Trump audience. That's who butters his bread. Is Trump. Period. End of story.
Well,
Like, I highly doubt that even if Jiang was to go on Rogan, I don't think they'd really talk much about Iran. I don't think so. It's probably just going to be like esoteric conspiracy theory bullshit. Like they're going to talk about secret society. Guaranteed. This is the easiest prediction of life. Okay. Here's a little bit of predictive history for you guys. If Professor Jiang, hypothetically speaking, ever showed up on Rogan, it would all be secret society conspiracy theory bullshit and like really terrible interpretations of history. Period. End of story. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
Yeah, he'd be like Duncan Trussell or any of those guys. He'd just waffle on about this stuff. And I would say one last thing too. I feel like the problem now is that, especially with like generative AI, where people just ask ChatGPT and ChatGPT spits out the answer. Like now people are just going to repeat that stuff on their channel, grow their channel, get on a podcast, repeat, like it just regurgitates and becomes
that's the subjectivity making it worse.
Yeah. So I feel like that's also factoring into why he's growing so quickly, and it's terrifying. I work in tech, and we use generative AI to some degree to do certain things, and I'm very careful with how I use it. Like I don't use it to code really at all, unless it's like a really annoying, tedious thing that is easily automated. I don't use it, and I'm scared of how it's being used by people like this who just base all their knowledge on random TikTok shorts, short form content, and whatever the LLM gives him, and basically doesn't ask any experts. So oh boy, this guy scares me genuinely. Anyways,
or they cannot be killed, so you can get rid of their mortal bodies, but now they become demons who live underground and are in the shadows.
Okay, so this is an explanation of like demons and stuff like this. This is like
okay.
Yeah, this is like, so basically like what he was saying earlier is like, okay, the Orthodox canonical says all this stuff. How do you justify it? And so this is like a justification for the existence of demons.
And guess what, guys? They're still here today. So these two societies, they believe the Nephilim are real, and they still control the world. The richest people in the world are actually...
Here he goes again. Let's go.
All right.
Nephilim.
Okay? Dude, they're all demons. Yeah. Like... That's all true. Yeah, they're all half angel, half fucking human people. All the bourgeoisie, the rich. Yeah, sure. Okay, Professor Jiang. I find
guys,
it really...
actually.
So does that mean the entire? Because fucking Christian evangelicals talk about demons all the time. Does that mean they all believe in the esoteric test? That have all Christian evangelicals like read the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas? Yeah, I don't think so.
No. Most so let me explain. So the Apocrypha, usually Protestants actually don't really. Oh, here's the thing: Protestantism is getting weird. It's sort of evolving, right? For centuries, Protestants disavowed the Apocrypha. And Catholics obviously, read into it, interpreted it, and have their own interpretation. The thing is that Protestants now are so conspiracy minded, they'll probably start to believe this stuff. It's like Protestantism is sort of evolving again. It has continuously evolved, but it's like evolving to this point now. You could say the evangelicals are starting to believe in this stuff, and to justify their anti-Semitism, justify their bigotry and all that stuff. The thing is that now he's saying that, okay, the richest people in the world are Nephilim. Okay, so is Elon Musk 50 feet tall now? Like,
is Elon? Does he have like a pitchfork with the fucking horns? Does he have the pointy tail? Like, what's going on here?
He's the wealthiest guy on earth. Hey, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, is he a demon secretly? By the way, this is the same shit when people say that all the rich are reptilian lizard people. This is the exact same fucking logic.
This is the Alex said, oh, they're all reptilian lizard people, brother.
They all harvest adrenochrome from our children. Even though Alex Jones himself is also religious, but whatever. Like, none of these people actually believe anything. It's stupid. It's all ridiculous. But like, whatever.
So this is sort of playing into the same thing. I feel like he's he's angling on that Alex Jones type thing here, with this, saying all the rich are Nephilim, and obviously this is sidestepping the economic argument of, hey, this is just the natural end result of capitalism. This is late stage. It's eating itself.
Which, by the way, guess who also never talked about any of that stuff? And when he did, he used it to justify his Jungian sort of interpretation of Carl Jung in order to maintain hierarchy. Jordan Peterson.
Ding dong.
Jordan Peterson did the exact same fucking shit.
I watched all those stupid lectures. I watched all of those. I'm so cringe.
Very cringe.
Because they've been around for thousands of years, and therefore they're able to control the development of humanity. Okay, so they're called the Nephilim. So that's easy to understand. But another question then is, why did Adam eat that apple?
Yeah, easy to understand. I mean, if you're like a schizo, yeah, sure, that's easy to understand. But like, no, it's listen. Karl Marx, okay? You should actually probably read him, Professor Jiang. He basically would talk about the accumulation of wealth and power under the hands of, well, fewer and fewer people, and how economic production changed and varied throughout the centuries. That, of course, initially being a master-slave dynamic, then, of course, the feudal system coming out of that, then mercantilism after that, and then actual capitalism.
Well, yeah, there was like mercantilism, industrialization, and then now, of course, you have the...
Well, yeah, industrialization is capitalism. That's when capitalism actually became a thing,
right,
more or less, in the whole timeline.
Yeah. And then I guess after that was probably like post Great Depression, you had I guess in the 20s you had stakeholder, right? Stakeholder.
No, if we're talking about like, I don't like the Marx obviously died before all that, but more or less like what he would have said is that this is the current stuff with like the stakeholders, and then like post-consumerism, which was what I would say we're basically trying to transition into right now after the more sort of consumer society that we had during the 50s and 60s, essentially is the byproducts of like the further concentration of the wealth and capital, basically.
Yep. So, but you got to invent your own demons to explain why the rich get richer, right? You can't just actually fix
it's not because you should just tax the shit out of them. Nah, you got to make
exactly.
They're Nephilim now, guys, or something. Okay, bro.
So true.
That fruit, and why did Jesus have to kill himself? Well, now it gets really complicated. Okay, so now I need to explain to you what the secret societies believe. Okay, remember they believe that mind leads to matter. What does that mean? Okay, let me explain what this means. Mind leads to matter.
Wait, does hold on. Does every secret society think that mind leads to what? Do they all are they all like psychics or something? Like what are we saying here? Like, do they all have like the what's like I forget the name of the show, but it's like the guy who goes up to the machine, says 500 cigarettes, and then 500 cigarettes just like appear. Is everything Star Trek now or something? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, is everything the secret? You manifesting. It's like
I'm manifesting 500 cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, there's no like Bible verses.
We're in schizo territory now. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's gloss over it.
The true God is called the monad. Okay, the one. So just think of this as the core of the universe, the sun, the divine sun. The monad is so powerful that when he breathes, okay, he vibrates divine energy. And over millions of years, this divine energy creates new life forms. Okay? So the first life form are called the dyads. Dyads are just pairs, okay, usually male, female, that are children of the monad. And they're able by themselves to create new universes as well. Okay? So the dyads start to emanate.
Parallel universe. I don't want to compare it to that. That has some serious scientific theory behind it, but yeah.
Have you guys heard about the concept of parallel universes? That's from a famous speedrunning Mario video. We all know. Are we gonna start talking about QPUs or something? Is that what Professor Chung's getting to? So what? I mean, are we doing like some 40K stuff? Are the dyads all like the old ones or something? Are they all hyper intelligent? Please tell me they're all hyper intelligent frogmen. Please tell me they're all hyper intelligent frogs.
Yeah, if they're not, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Not worth
That's bullshit. It's bullshit. This fake news.
So the entire universe is vibration. It's vibrational energy. It's the breathing of these cosmic beings. Okay? And over time, over millions of years, these vibrations become atoms, which then leads to matter. Okay? That's what they mean by mind leads to matter. Now, one of these dyads, named Sophia, decides, you know what? I can be just as good as the monad. What does the monad do? The monad is able to propagate by itself, by himself. He doesn't need to mate. So Sophia says, you know what? I'm going to produce something by myself. I'm going to have a child by myself to prove I am the monad, okay? So she does this, and she creates a new being, okay? A new being. This is called the Demiurge. There are different names. We'll call them the Demiurge.
And actually, so I've read about this a little bit.
Okay.
So Sophia gave birth by herself, right, as what he claims. Actually, this is, and I've read into this some, basically this is sort of an explanation for how Mary was able to give birth, have a virgin birth.
Right.
So this is sort of the justification and the ramifications of it.
Right. So Jesus is a demiurge then. Okay.
I suppose, I don't know, like this is again, now you can probably see why the Catholics and Protestants did not include a lot of this stuff in their Bibles. And I'm curious, again, I haven't dug much into the Ethiopian, like Tewahedo Church, as far as like what their stances are. I'd have to
so quick Google from the AI overview. This comes from Gnosticism, not from fucking secret societies. Sophia, wisdom, is a divine feminine aeon whose fall from the spiritual realm of Pleroma. So he's kind of being inaccurate already a little bit here in terms of this interpretation. Leads to the accidental creation of the Demiurge, or Yaldabaoth. Her yearning to know the Father, acting without a consort, creates a deficiency that produces this ignorant creator god, who then fashions the flawed material world and traps spiritual sparks within it. Okay, so he's basically kind of wrong in terms of what he's going on. So she basically wanted to understand more about her father, and as a result of her, I guess, inquisitiveness, based off of, I guess, Gnosticism, created the Demiurge, which was like, well, an ignorant creator god. And I guess the Demiurge then decided to go out and create a bunch of fucking bullshit himself. Or itself? I don't even know.
Yeah, let me explain also, just quickly, Gnosticism. This is probably something people don't know about. So Gnosticism was sort of, so you have to remember in sort of around the time of Christ, and of course, when the apostles started going out, and then of course, churches, I guess they weren't really churches at the time. They were basically synagogues, right? The early church, quote unquote, was basically sort of synagogues that were outside of the main institution in Jerusalem, right? So what happened is there was no agreed upon interpretation, and sort of there was a lot of lay preaching, a lot of personal interpretations of stuff. And so what ended up happening is that around the 2nd century, right, around 200 AD, or I guess would this have been, this would have been 200 or 300 AD, there were like fringe sects of this new religion that came about, this new Christianity, this new sort of belief in a redeeming Christ. And so they were like these diverse groups that came up with a lot of this stuff. And I guess they probably like syncretize, again, this is kind of like in the Caribbean and like Brazil, where they syncretize animist beliefs with Christianity, with Catholicism. That's just called Santeria. So it's kind of sort of like Santeria, where they were interspersing, like, I guess at that time, Jewish faith, along with the redeeming story of Christ, combining that with like Roman mythology or Greek mythology of some kind, like that. Like, so you can kind of see like where this all sort of came from. And I guess those people were like, studying the Torah and studying the Old Testament, and then studying the life of Jesus, which had not been documented at that point. It was just sort of hearsay and spread through oral tradition. And so the thing is that they were probably trying to find justifications, like he was doing here, why this, why that, and created a mythology around it. So like, this isn't surprising. Like, people say, where did this come from? It came from, I guess, people trying to syncretize, like, pagan, Roman belief, or
right, because everything still around that time was because Christianity didn't become the official religion in Rome until like 300 something, I think, AD.
That was
It took a
yeah.
while. Like it was taking hold right around the time of quote unquote like a couple decades after Jesus' supposed passing, and it started to take hold like in like small sects of different parts. Because initially, the empire initially pursued and went after the early Christians.
Yeah,
This is a fact.
they punished they punished them with death. They crucified them, and
And
then
yeah, and then eventually, like when it was pretty much over when one of the first Roman emperors became Christian himself, and then
Constantine.
it was Constantine. Yes, it was Constantine.
It was Constantine. Yep.
Constantine then just made it such that I think I don't remember when was Constantine a part of the Roman throne? Constantine the First, I believe.
Yeah, Constantine won. Let me see, Constantine the Great. Yeah.
Yes. So this was right around the time when Christianity he was the first convert, and Christianity started to become the main religion within the Roman Empire.
Yeah, he signed the Edict of Milan, which basically legalized Christian existence,
Christian belief,
in Rome, and Christian belief in existence in Rome, and also yeah, he was emperor from 306 to 337. So there you go.
So it was right around that time. It was Constantine, yes, and that's when it all started to become more Christian, more or less.
Yeah, and more nationalist too, because obviously this is like a lot of liberation Christians will tell you like Constantine the Great was like the first. Constantine the First was like he was the first Christian nationalist because he made it a state religion, and imposed it very very brutally. Like a lot of people, they say, well, look how the Christians were persecuted by the Romans, and then Constantine saved them. It's like, yeah, but then Constantine
did the other way around and went after the pagans.
Yep. So he did the same thing. So anyways,
Urge is a monster, a monstrosity, because it goes against the natural order. So then Sophia's like, oops, I should have done that. So what does she do? She abandons the monstrosity. She throws him away and hides him in a sea of clouds. So no one knows he actually exists.
This is getting into crazy territory.
So we already know that this, just from like the quick reading I did, this is already inaccurate, right? Sophia herself already fell out of the realm of these Sonad or whatever the fuck is the name of this guy. I forget the fucking
out
name.
of the monad, out of the realm of
monad. Yes, out of the realm of monad, out of pleroma, right? And this is what the Gnostics basically think, unless this is what... Because again, there's multiple secret societies. They may believe in differing things and not this fucking bullshit that Professor Jiang is basically saying here.
Yeah, and I don't know which one he's pulling from, or like where he...
Or if he's even pulling from anything. We don't know.
He doesn't cite it.
He never cites the sources, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Although he says it's his sources are from the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas. Like we could check the actual video itself, see if there's sources listed within it. Just go.
I haven't seen any.
No, not like the original video, like on his actual channel, right? It's called Secret Society: The Birth of Evil. I'm curious now. Does he have sources in the description?
He does not.
Yeah, no links. Okay, so he doesn't.
Wait. The Secret History of the... What is this?
What is Mark Booth? Wait, no, Mark Booth. That's a sussy name to me. I'm pretty sure that guy's a schizo. I'm like 95% certain. I know. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is some fucking schizo shit. It's Jonathan.
Oh no. Oh god.
Wait, who's this Jonathan Black guy?
The Secret History of the Yeah, this is probably like ancient aliens type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is some conspiracy shit. Wait, do a quick Google on Mark Booth. I want to Google on Mark Booth.
Hang on a minute.
Just Google the guy. Google the author.
I think this is his site.
No, we not like.
Author Mark Booth. Also, oh, Jonathan Black. Okay. Mark Booth must be his pen name.
So that's his
Okay,
pen
Mark
name.
Booth is
Okay.
his pen name. Okay. The author. He was at he went to Oxford. Are you kidding me?
So he's a British author known for his books on the secret society of the world and the sacred history, how angels, mystics, and higher intelligence made our world. Higher intelligence made our world.
Oh boy.
Wait, I'm curious. So, 1911 to 1988. I'm curious. Do we have any, do you have anything? American football coach. He's a New Zealand politician.
Oh, there's probably a lot of Mark Booths out there, but yeah, I'm just looking at his
Probably,
official
yeah.
site. Look at this. Booth produces nothing short of an alternate. So this is an alternate history of the past.
Okay, so it's an alternate history. Okay, this is some fucking gobbledygook he makes up then. Okay. Yeah,
And why is he citing?
why are we citing this? Like, what the fuck is going on here? So, we have now found the official fucking problem. He's citing a fucking random ass dude who's basically creating a fucking alternate history of the past 3,000 years. And this is directly from his website. Why is Professor Jiang using this as, like, seemingly his primary source material on all of this?
Yeah.
And is using these as, like, interpretations for the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas. That's a little interesting, isn't it?
Yep. Very. Yep. So this is falling apart very quickly.
Even the Demiurge doesn't know he exists. The Demiurge does not know about this world, right? Therefore, he believes that he must be.
So again, this must be all from Mark Booth's book then. That's all.
More than likely.
One true God, capable of creating new life. So what does he create? Us. Okay? He creates the planet Earth.
So we're made from, like, a demon, I guess.
He creates.
Is this where flat Earth theories come from? Anyways, press X St. Thomas the Doubt. So true.
It's true.
Okay? That's what a monster would do. Okay? Look at this history. What kind of God would kick someone out of paradise for eating a fruit? A monster would do it. Right? What kind of God would kill a people for no particular reason? A monster would do that. Okay? What kind of God would demand that a people be loyal to that person? A monster.
So
I don't think that's not exactly how, like, authoritarian structures work, honestly. Like, a lot of people are loyal to a particular person for rather complicated reasons. It's not exactly how that works.
No, and obviously there's, like, there's, like, existential reasons why you would obey an authority and stuff like, self-preservation and things like that. That like factors into it. So the other thing too, so with the Old Testament stories of, like, the flood, or you look at things like, like the first exile of the Jewish people when Romans and other people invaded, right, and the fall of the Bronze Age.
Yeah, the Sea Peoples would have been at that time.
Yeah, the Sea People. So when these large sort of large events happened that affected at that point probably hundreds of thousands of people. So there may have been likely a great flood or a localized flood that was really, really big, like a once in 1,000-year flood or whatever that happened, and people thought it was like an end of the world because
let me see.
Right?
Flood that took place at the collapse of the Bronze Age, because you can just look this shit up.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like, environmental roots. There's some NIH stuff here, actually. Let's see.
So yeah, around 1200. So around 1200 BC, primarily caused by a perfect storm of droughts, famines, earthquakes, and invasions. So it is said that the invasions of the Sea Peoples are ultimately what caused that was like the final stroke that basically caused the collapse of the Bronze Age collapse. Of course, there was also a bunch of environmental factors that happened as well. It was not like one particular event that did it necessarily, but
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
culmination of things that were like going bad all at the same time, and so people thought it was end of the world, apocalypse, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And they were trying to obviously at that point, we didn't really have modern science and things like
So
that.
people
So
just made
people
stories about it.
they were superstitious. Yeah, people were very superstitious, and still are, but way more so back then. And so, for example, like here, this is a well-cited research paper. Looks like from 1981. Wow, this is a long time ago, but this is in Science, the journal Science. And it says analysis of Nile flood stages from 640 AD to 1921 AD. Okay, so there were major episodes of like the Nile flooding, but again, this is like that's AD. I'm looking for BC, but
No, it
yeah,
wasn't. It
like
wasn't like a particular sort of thing. No, it's we're not talking about like the Nile flooding specifically. Uh, I was mostly like referring to the entirety of the Levant, but
yeah,
I mean, like technically speaking, if we want to put it to like a hit in terms of like a historical term for when like God flooded the world, it wasn't exactly at the because what Moses the book of Exodus and with like Moses and all that shit basically took place after the story of Noah and Noah's Ark, so
correct.
like
Yeah,
it's a little different. Like
yeah, it's a little
it
you're
didn't
going back a long way.
yeah, like for like a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily have a lot of data on, more than likely like the giant flood is mostly used as like a really really easy explainer for Christians to just be like, oh yeah, God just had to reset the world because everything was like dog shit and it just had to be reset, bro. So big flood, here we go.
Yeah, like what's the scariest thing we can think of? That
Flood.
like a catastrophic event that's like natural. A flood. Yes, exactly. Like other than a nuke, which is man-made, human made. But yeah, you could say it's like a useful narrative for like maintaining order in a society or passing down to your children as lessons, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's sort of where a lot of this comes from. Again, like when people try to like, and also like, yeah, a lot of times large events like that, we still see it today, when like every time like you see evangelicals go crazy when there's a blood moon out. Like you've probably seen that before, right? When the moon turns red, and we know it's an optical illusion. It's a result of the atmosphere and the position of the moon and the sun, and like we know there's scientific reason for a blood moon, but they go
No,
nuts
it's clearly because
every
of
time.
Ganondorf hanging out in
Yes.
Hyrule Castle.
Actually true.
Actually
Yeah,
true.
blame Ganondorf for
I
all your
also blame
problems.
Ganondorf as well.
Yes.
What kind of God would enforce his will on a people, a monster? What kind of God would say to someone, you're the only person I like, everyone else I hate? A monster would do that. Okay? So, in other words, the true secret that these secret societies are trying to keep is the God we worship today is the false God. And we are actually in a prison created by this false God. And that's who Jesus was.
And this is
Wait,
I can see where
So Jesus is now the false God in a prison made by Jesus. Interesting. Okay, like no. Also, by the way, he's never really sort of like specified who like which secret societies like believe in all this.
yeah,
Like, who
he's
believes
just saying,
this?
oh, them. He's doing the whole they, like the whole like vague sort of
Vagaries and
gesturing of-
bullshit. I fucking hate that
which-
shit so much.
is well, that's pretty rooted in anti-Semitism as well, so that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Okay, we're almost done.
Jesus was a cosmic being sent by the monad to tell us the truth about the world. And that's why he died, because the Roman Empire could not allow people to see the truth.
Wait.
So wait. So the Romans are all agents of the Demiurge then, or something? But I thought he was the false god. So there's two gods. Okay,
So you can kind of see where people might have created this narrative, right? And obviously at the time Jesus was crucified by the Romans, you could see people who were his followers attribute the Demiurge to Romans. You could see the connection. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess this is a narrative to justify that. Hey, Jed, good to see you.
And that's why he died, because the Roman Empire could not allow people to see the truth. If I told you the truth, you would know it right away. You would wake up. Therefore, the truth tellers
Become woke.
killed.
we're becoming woke.
Okay? So that's what these secret societies believe. They believe that the monad exists, and the mind of the monad is what creates the universe.
I wonder what Professor Jung would have thought of Assassin's Creed. Old Assassin's Creed games.
Or,
I bet
the
he,
first like Ezio, yeah.
you know,
the
Ezio
one-
Altair,
Ezio.
because it's all like this like stupid intrigue, like secret society fucking bullshit. He would love that kind of shit.
Yeah, he would be soying out all over it and probably do a lecture on it and say, "Oh, this is an analogy to," like he would. Don't let him near Assassin's Creed.
Clearly, the Templars are trying to communicate with the Demiurge to become masters over control and keep people from being learning the truth. And we have to find the pieces of Eden so we can teach people the truth or something, right?
Oh my gosh. This is why I love that 40K is so like ridiculous and like it's such a parody. Like 40K is such a parody. That's why I love it because it like gets you like 40K to me is actually good for people because it actually gets you out of conspiratorial thinking, you know, in a way, right? Because it's like because it's such a parody of it, and it's so absurd and gargantuan that it's you know.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work. But unfortunately,
Yeah.
conservatives are not very bright and they can't do basic
No.
media analysis.
Yeah,
So they say
this
like,
guy
actually, this is exactly what we want humanity to be, like the Imperium. It's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
That's not what you want. But okay,
That's not
man.
the point.
That's not the point. There's a reason why everyone's bad. A lot of really, really easy reasons, but you guys are too stupid to understand 40K.
That remind us that even though we're in a prison, there's still the monad in you. There's a spark in you, a divine light in you that you can activate. And if you activate it, then you will return to the monad. You will see the truth for yourself. And when you die, your soul, which is part of the monad, will want to return to the monad and can escape this world. But to activate this light,
Bro, this is unironically like fucking 40K. It's
I mean, they parodied this.
It
Yeah,
is-
they're parodying all this stuff.
it's kind of a parody of 40K. I mean, it's the opposite way around, but yeah,
I mean, 40K parodies this, but yeah, it's you can see where they got it from.
yeah.
Yeah, you must love one of the. Which again, I agree with. You know, obviously the statement in and of itself, but like again, this whole.
Guys,
Yeah.
guys, we need the divine spark. Like, it's like some fucking Magic the Gathering stuff. You need to use your divine spark to become a planeswalker so you can walk to Monad to learn the truth of the metaphysical existence of all things, guys. That's what you gotta do. Now we're sprinkling in a little Magic the Gathering here as well.
you must reject money and materialism. And grades, okay? Grades in school. You must reject competition.
Reject all grades. He's ungrading.
Okay, like
only get
I mean, kind of
all
based. Yeah, I do think the grading system of current American education, Western education, is fucking dog shit. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, dude, you need to reject grades to activate your divine spark to go back to Monad, bro. Like, okay, man.
so true. Yeah. He would think AC was made by the secret societies. I mean, here's the thing, Alex. AC is made by Ubisoft. They're French. Yeah, they're made by
That is
secret
basically a
societies.
secret society in and of itself. Let's be honest here.
You must reject material wealth in order to pursue spiritual happiness. Okay? That was the message of Jesus. Now you can imagine that the powers that be, the Nephilim, would not like this, okay? It's a direct threat to Nephilim, who now control the prison created by the Demiurge. It's also a direct threat to the Demiurge. And that's why these secret societies have been, over the centuries, been repressed, been executed, okay, been massacred. But they believe that it is their duty.
No, they haven't been. I mean, maybe there were like, you know, kings in Europe or whatever that like carried out like specific like executions of, you know, of these like I don't like what
I was also about to say, like,
what's
are we
citation needed? Like, when did this happen?
Yeah, like he's talking about materialism, but because we're going to go back to the Professor Jung video that I looked at earlier, where he was talking about the history of fucking Marxism and materialism within the United States of America.
I felt so bad at that.
Yeah, like is the Demiurge cast? So the Demiurge is actually the one who's pretending to be Madara Uchiha, casting the infinite Tsukiyomi in order to bake everyone into consumerist material debt slaves, so then they can't learn the truth or something. When in reality, the point of the infinite Tsukiyomi is to essentially create, well, soldiers, basically. Like, it's... Okay, dude, nice meme.
Yeah.
To protect the secret, because only by protecting the secret can humanity be ultimately saved. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions? Right?
I don't think he's gonna get any questions.
Version, which is what you're taught in school.
Well, he's not. So the thing, okay, just.
Oh, so you're not taught this stuff in school, but whatever.
So I've always had this question. I don't think he's just doing the act of nobody's actually sitting there. Like there's no class. It's just
yeah. It's all LARP. We know this. Like, I mean, there's actually there are instances of him where he's actually on his oldest videos. There are actually people sitting there who are listening to him. But I don't know if they're like paid actors or whatever, or if it's like his actual class or what. Who the fuck knows?
Listen, I hate to.
He is a high school teacher, right?
Okay. I hate to enable this guy, but I hate to enable this guy, but you have AI, dude. You could generate a classroom audience and then like pan the camera to them once during the lecture.
Maybe he won't do that because it's not authentic enough, and his like audience will think like it's a bunch of like secret society bullshit or something. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's the Demiurge, dude. They're trying to prevent the truth of Monad from getting out, bro. It's like, okay,
he was in on it the whole time.
And now you have the secret version that is only taught in secret societies.
Okay.
He still never answered, by the way, what secret societies are fucking teaching this shit. What secret societies adhere to this? Like, who are the secret societies? Because guess what? Jordan Peterson did the exact same shit and saying very, very vague on purpose. Like, who are these people that believe in this fucking absolute gobbledygook? I have no idea. Like...
Yeah, and here's the problem. Again, I, as a Christian, I will tell you this is my biggest concern.
Yeah, we know. Listen, we're saying this all obviously rhetorically, Alex. We know exactly what he means by secret societies. He means Jews.
Yeah, he's just doing they.
Yeah, the international cabal globalists. They take many different names and forms. So he means Jews.
Yeah, he's. But anyways, like. For example, there are so many, and this is something I'm going to talk about, like once I get off, once I let you, continue your stream. I'm going to actually go into another topic, which is, so there are so many channels, Christian channels, where they're trying to.
Bro, what the fuck is this shit? Girls Gone Bible, bro. What is this like soy fucking Reddit goddamn? Like reference, dude. Okay, I'm going off on this. What kind of like what kind of like soy ass fucking Reddit bullshit is this? Yeah. Okay, Girls Gone Wild, right? You don't want to fucking
literally it's the same logo.
Yeah, you don't.
It's the same logo, dude.
Of course. Yeah, you don't want to fucking pop pussy and show ass instead or something? No, I've never heard of them, but you don't want to pop pussy and show ass instead, so now you want to do, like, Christian evangelical grift shit and get your fucking goddamn, like, gooner bait audience through that way because you're young, attractive-looking fucking blonde white women. Okay, I don't respect this whatsoever. You're gooner baiting.
Well, the thing is, the thing is that these channels are also echoing all the same stuff. So Professor Jiang also probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he got on their show. Like, it's a matter of time. He's going to be on their show, and this stuff is going to start getting preached on the pulpit. This is going to start...
Wait, this is a fucking channel with 860k subscribers? What's their most popular video? And they have, like, wait, hold on. No, hold on, before we do that. Look at how many fucking views these guys have. This is dog shit views. 15k, 40k? What's the most popular? 700.
This guy's.
I'm guessing.
So this guy is a really toxic sort of like fundy evangelical preacher, Philip Anthony Mitchell. His church actually had a massive scandal earlier this year.
Of course,
he has a mega church in Atlanta. So
this is their most popular video, 750k, and you have like 860k or 70k subscribers. You don't have any video that's hit a milli.
Let me see their short. Let me see their.
Their shorts.
Popular 6.9. Okay.
Okay, so that's where it is. They're taking advantage of the short algorithm.
But anyways, that's all I had to say. But yeah, like basically, I'm really like, unfortunately, this type of misinfo, right? Well, let me put the screen back on. This type of misinfo that we see here, this is going to make it to all the Christian channels. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, 1000%. 1000%.
with the war in Iran, with the invasion of Iran, all the end times narratives that are coming up, and people are grifting off that.
Wait, when was this?
This is gonna be
Wait,
super
question. When was the original video release important? Because I'm surprised it's
popular.
not. Okay, so it
So
was last year.
last September, which we still had the genocide in Gaza going on, and then this is 6 months ago, so this
September
is September
5th.
5th.
Okay.
So September of last year.
This will make the rounds to all the Christian weirdos probably at some point.
And it's not just him specifically, but this type of information is going to start disseminating out, and everybody's just going to echo the same talking points now, to feed that sort of end times fear, uncertainty, doubt narrative. To try to, it's sort of this like fear, uncertainty, doubt thing that they use to lure you into
A cult.
becoming a far right, lure you into the cult essentially. And now the cult is not like it used to be. Like cults were well defined. They would knock on your door on Saturday mornings and they had a building. Now cults are widespread and they're nebulous and hard to, so
Really
it's
pinned
harder
down.
to keep this stuff under wrap. Like, yeah, it used to be they knocked on your door on Sunday mornings. And
I unironically, I've been getting mailers from a fucking Jehovah's
No.
Witness, and I'm just like, why am I getting this shit? It's like, fuck off, dude. I always just like threw those away, and then I was just like, I'm gonna take a look at one of these. I'm curious. I see Jehovah's Witness. I'm like, I'm throwing this out.
Yeah, you couldn't fall for that one. So, yeah, unfortunately, and also, all these channels that are like trying to go after Gen Z, with the religious stuff, they know Gen Z is younger, more impressionable. Professor Jiang has obviously taken full advantage of that and gained an audience. So,
Same with Gen
pushing-
Alpha. Same with those guys as well.
Oh, I'm really concerned about Gen Alpha, but I feel like I'd like to see what
I
happens
think they're
when they
gonna-
grow up and their brains develop. I really hope they break this.
I think they're going to be heavily polarized because of this current administration.
Yeah, and all
Heavily
this stuff.
polarized,
Yeah.
especially with Woke 2
So,
making a
Yeah.
big comeback. But we'll see. Thank you, Democrats, for being complete failures and squandering Woke 1, you dipshits. But then again, that's expected.
yeah. I mean, the Democrat. Let me just say, like, just the last thing. I don't think the Democrats were ever really part of Woke One. They just sort of co-opted.
Yeah, they
it.
just
Like,
co-opted
It was, yeah. It was just the corporations obviously did ESG and stuff, which has some good to it. There's some good stuff, but it's just to mitigate the effects of capitalism and corporatism. But like, yeah, it's like beyond that, they weren't really active participants in Woke One. Like it was very sort of grassroots leftist. More in like labor unions, stuff like that. So in DSA, that was mainly Woke One, and the Woke Two is, obviously, it's becoming more mainstream in Democrats.
Calling
There's sort of
right wingers a bunch of slurs. We're
Yeah,
dark
that's
woke.
we're cool now. We're cool.
We're doing critical racist theory. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, we're flipping it on them. We're Uno reverse carding them.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, yeah. But yeah, in conclusion, I will say as a Christian, yeah, this is a massive concern. Like if someone like this, who is not a Christian, not a Christian creator,
as far as we can tell,
but who reads into conspiracy nonsense and only reads particular interpretations, what's the problem I have is that like this is going to get mainstream in Christian spaces, Christian youth spaces. Will this stuff get taught in Sunday schools? Are we going to hear this from the pulpit? I already hear crazy stuff from the pulpit every Sunday from my own pastor and from like other like large preachers and channels and stuff. And so it's like, man, it's just getting crazier. And like, I hope to be, a voice of not only reason, but just like as a Christian, it's like, it's like, get away from all this stuff and actually look at, okay, how can I use my faith to help others? How can I use it to uplift others? How can I use it to to bring some sense of freedom or joy to others? And I think that's so much more important these days than all this stuff, because all this stuff is just noise and attention economy. And I do feel like there needs to be a huge change if within all different faiths, all different faiths. I mean, this is a massive problem in Hinduism, of course, modern Brahmanism. This is a massive problem. With Hindutva and the rise of that, Modi and stuff. So we have this problem on that front too. And I feel like there need to be more progressive voices and interfaith voices on the progressive side, because that is how we're going to fix this. Like that's one of the main ways we're going to hopefully fix this over time.
And where
Yeah.
where does this all stem from? Oh, worsening material conditions currently happening under capitalism. No,
Yep.
Daho,
Could
you're
be. I
telling
know.
me that humans who fundamentally always have the feeling that they are the masters of their own destiny and masters over their own fate, if they lose complete control of said destiny or fate, they will believe in the ridiculous, the nonsensical, and the esoteric in order to try to explain why their current misfortunes are happening. Oh, because of economic fucking downturn. Exact same shit happened within Germany as a byproduct of the Treaty of Versailles and the depression that happened after. Shocker.
No way, guys.
Whoa! No way, guys! Oh, whoa!
Yeah. So, anyways, I'll leave you with that. I don't know if you had anything else, but it's been
But yeah,
quite a bit of time. It took forever to get through this. My God, I hate Professor John.
yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. Yeah, I mean, like, let's just wrap this all up in a nice, neat little bow. It should be fairly simple. Professor Jiang, schizo, Jordan Peterson clone. That's really about it. Don't believe anything that he's saying in terms of like all of his like esoteric interpretations of the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas. One of his main sources that he's referring to is unironically a book that talks about an alternative history from the past 3,000 fucking years. And we're supposed to believe that some unknowable secret societies are all practitioners of the Demiurge, are all like Nephilim, born from the fucking Demiurge or some shit, who are basically casting the infinite Tsukiyomi of consumerist debt slavery upon the rest of humanity to make sure that they don't learn the fucking truth. This dude is Jordan Peterson 1-to-1 to a fucking goddamn T. He doesn't actually probably read much of anything, has only particular interpretations of what he probably reads to push his like esoteric nonsense to his more than likely very, very parasocial, easily captured fucking audience of people who are just desperate for answers within the cruel world that we currently find ourselves under. He is incredibly dangerous, and there is a very, very specific reason for as to why I say that this guy is essentially just another fucking Jordan Peterson. He's one in the fucking same. And basically anything that this guy says should be taken with an absolute fucking grain of salt.
Or just don't feed the wolf. Don't give him any attention. There's way better people. One of the people I actually suggest who is good on Bible stuff, by the way, one of the people I highly suggest is what's his name? I think Dan McClellan. Now, Dan McClellan, he does dive into Mormonism to some degree, but he's very much sort of data over dogma. In fact, that's the name of his podcast. But Dan McClellan is a theologian and a Bible
Oh, he
scholar.
actually studied and doesn't have a BA in literature like Professor Jung does.
Yes.
He studied theology.
Yeah.
Shocker.
He's very progressive as well, but again, he really looks. He's a very skilled linguist. He understands obviously Old Hebrew, Greek, all the various translations of the Bible. So
I would guess probably some Latin in there as well.
Yes, yeah, obviously Latin. But yeah, Dan McClellan's a good source for Bible stuff if you're curious, if anyone in your audience is curious, and probably have watched. You've probably seen his TikToks here and there. He's really big over there, but also he has a podcast called Data Over Dogma, which I think that's a separate channel. And they dive into current issues as well, but they also look at the the text and the theology and all that stuff. So, and also like debunking like a lot of right-wing misinfo and revisionism. So he's doing a good job. Even though I don't fully agree with him, he's done a lot of good for me. So yeah, one guy I would listen to.
Nice.
So,
Lovely.
Yep.
But yeah, don't believe anything ever from Professor Jung. He's a I was going to say like a wannabe preacher. He's not really a wannabe preacher. He is essentially just another charlatan who preaches in the exact same way as Jordan Peterson, talking about like esoteric nonsense that he barely studied for. And I'm going to make another quick reminder to all you parasocial weirdos out there. He has a BA in literature and is a high school teacher. He only uses the moniker of being a professor as a legitimizing factor to be like, hey, just believe me and don't question anything that I say, even though he wants his like students to, I don't know, like challenge the fucking Demiurge in order to be able to open up their divine spark to get to monad in order to learn the actual truth, quote unquote. And the complete fucking nonsense.
Sorry, I will just say one last thing. I'm not going to tap the glass on this, but I would imagine at some point his employer, whatever school district he's working for, is going to catch wind of this, and
they may have some problems at some point.
Yeah, this is not good for the teaching profession, also for the standards of education either. So yeah, so let's see what happens.
But yeah, don't think there's really much else to say besides Professor Jiang, you're a fucking schizo, bro.